Well, good evening, good morning. I'm not going to sing. Wherever you are in the world, ladies and gents, welcome to the Hcast, episode number 52. We've been going for a long time now. And what a fantastic podcast it is. It is your favorite podcast. Of course it is. I know it. You guys know it. That's why you're here. And we've got a very, 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 very funny host of topics to cover today with your favorite panel as well. We've got Culture Casino from Culture Casino. We've got Nick from Nick Talks Entertainment and Nick Echo Base Echo Base Network. And we've got Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge and Midnight's Edge After Dark. And we will have Andre joining us as well. How are you all doing, guys? You all right?
Doing good. I actually just saw I was just telling the guys backstage before we started this. I literally just woke up, but I was up earlier today and I was letting my dog out, and right behind my fence line there was a coyote
dogs out.
digging.
Nick did.
And so she, you guys saw a picture. She's a little tiny teacup chihuahua. So she goes running off, chasing at this coyote. And I'm like yelling at her, no, because it'll like eat you like you're a snack.
And she doesn't have many teeth either.
Yeah, and she doesn't have any teeth because she just lost 6. So I'm like running after her, telling her to stop, and so the coyote sees me, of course, and then it takes off. But
that's brilliant.
That's the first time I've seen a coyote that close to the house. It's a Oak Mountain State Park is back behind my house, so it's all woods. I see a lot of deer and buck and foxes and all that, but not that close to the house. That was interesting. That was a little bit of an interesting thing that happened today.
Yeah, sounds fun and exciting. Welcome.
Yeah.
And how you doing, Culture? You all right?
Fantastic. It's been an extraordinary day. Been awake since 4 a.m. my time, and been streaming since then.
Good. So. Busy.
Yeah.
And Tom joining us on camera. How's it going?
For a few minutes anyway. How you guys doing?
For a few minutes? I demand more.
I pop on and off.
What'd you get from McDonald's, Tom?
Bacon quarter pounder and some chicken nuggets for Sadie and I.
Have you tried the new burger with the jalapenos on it?
I'm not into spicy stuff. That'll blow me up.
That's terrible. Terrible. Right, well, guys, ladies and gents in the chat, let's talk through some house rules. This is what I always do. I've got to do this here, there, and everywhere. So this is a podcast which is, of course, demonetized by YouTube on the regular. So it is funded by you guys, for you guys, and that's in the form of super chats. Now, super chats are a great way to interact with us as we go through these topics. Great way just to support the show and physically keep the lights on and keep it all moving. But a lot of these comments are so good. These questions are generally so good that they become their own topics and videos on the second channel. So if you want to support the show, please do. Super chats are the way to do it to stop us, consistently getting penalized by YouTube. It's just a bit of a ball ache, really. So that'd be great. I know, yeah. So that'd be great. Guys, as well, it can be anything, literally anything you want to talk about, anything you want to ask us, please do. Super chats are the way to do it. Also, a bit of housekeeping. So, of course, we've got everyone here on the panel. You can find the links to their channels down below in the description box. Please do go give them a subscribe if you like any of their input today. Obviously, this is a microcosm of what you'll get on their channels. So their channels will be, full of the stuff that you obviously like to hear. So please do hit subscribe. And I will say, guys, check out the second channel that I have, which is for this podcast, which is Mr. H Reviews Live Archives. It's down below in the description box. These get chopped up. If you miss them, they get chopped up into videos. The whole videos are there. The whole stream is there. The whole podcast. So please do go and check that out. That'd be great. So let me actually go and double check if this has already been demonetized. Oh, someone as well. I love doing that. Is it demonetized yet? Guys, as well. Someone said that they really liked. It is demonetized. For fuck's sake! Every time. God damn it! Literally. Anyway, some people said that they really liked the thumbnail.
Oh yeah, it was cute.
This, which is Jasper, my dog. Get me off this clown world, because obviously we're talking about the hilarity of Hollywood. I don't really promote it because it's really overpriced, but this and a whole host of other really cool designs are in my Teespring store.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to bring it in-house, so that's why I don't really promote it too much. So if you do want the design, though, it's on my Teespring store, so go buy yourself something, basically. But again, you don't have to. I acknowledge it's way overpriced. Teespring fucked everyone on the cost of things now, so it's profit margins are insane. It's madness. But anyway, we've sort of rattled on a little bit. We do have some super chats to get to. So Olaf Van S has been a member for 9 months, and if you become a member of the channel, you actually get a free super chat, basically. So this is Olaf Van S's free super chat. And it says, "Good evening, everyone. We have made it to at least 6 months of Hcast, 52 episodes, not counting Nate's R&R break whilst I was doing my bodybuilding contest. Let's get to 52 more. Yes, let's. In fact, it was a little bit more than that, but we didn't have a name for it at that point in time. So 52 official, a few more. But yes, let's keep this going. Your favorite podcast. I've actually had a few people ask me if I could get this as an audio only podcast so they could listen to it. I don't know whether I can do that because there's a lot that we cover. It's quite visual based. But maybe we could look into it. I don't know. And Israel R for $5 joining in the conversation. Our first contributor, monetarily wise, keeping the lights on here, says, "Hello, everyone. If we're living in a clown world, the jokes are sad. Can we get better writers?" Well, the writers are striking, so they obviously think that they're worthwhile at this point in time. But yes, there is a clown world, and yes, the jokes are sad. I don't watch the news anymore because every time I click on it, I'm like, this is wank. Like every single time I turn the news on, it's awful. So I don't pay attention to the news anymore. I don't know if any of you guys are the same as that.
I get my news off of YouTube. I rarely watch it on the telly.
On the telly.
I heard the news today. Oh boy.
Oh, dear. Well, in a great segue onto what does Hilarity mean? It doesn't mean anything. The title is Hilarity. It says it. The hilarity.
Hilarity means humor.
So yes, Hilarity isn't a word.
Funny.
I didn't write Hilarity. I wrote hilarity. But thanks either way for that $2, my dude. And that is actually
we don't do typos here like Paramount does with Ninja Turtles.
Well, I've done a typo once or twice. Yeah. I have done a typo once or twice.
I know. I was being facetious. I'm sure you saw the excuse.
Is Splinter really gay in there, Tom?
Yeah, sure. This is Stephen. This is Stephen Ramirez's first super chat ever. So thank you so much.
Thank you
for spending it here. Do appreciate it. But yeah, hilarity is kind of what you think it is. Hilarious, basically. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to our first topic. Oh my god! If there are any kids here, probably best to mute their ears for this because we're talking, of course, about the Lizzo situation.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Well, just avert thine eyes from this outrageously grotesque apparition on said monitor here, because of course Lizzo has a lawsuit against her for a whole multitude of things, which we covered on the last podcast. But now she has responded, which she did immediately, just like her thighs. And so yeah, we've got to cover this because because I want to, because it's funny, basically. So she says that the charges are too outrageous not to be addressed. Too outrageous. So Lizzo has responded to the numerous sexual harassment and discrimination allegations that have emerged over the past few days, and she's not held back, describing them as too outrageous not to be addressed. So this is all done in an Instagram post, of course.
Actually, usually when these kind of things are not true, they're really just like, yeah, that's insane. I categorically deny it, and I'm not even going to give it any more breath than that.
Well, they usually instantly respond as well, which they didn't. They waited a few days. But anyway, so she goes, these last few days have been gut-wrenchingly difficult and overwhelmingly disappointing. My work ethic, that clearly does, well, is the work ethic of pounding down the pies or
Yeah.
morals and respectfulness have been questioned. You don't respect anyone, Lizzo. You are abusing people's eyes. All right, shut up. My character has been criticized. Usually, I choose not to respond to false allegations. You're being taken to court. But these are as unbelievable as they sound and too outrageous not to be addressed. They're not. They don't sound unbelievable. I can absolutely believe all of this because those that shout the loudest are more often the ones covering for stuff. These sensationalized stories are coming from former employees who have already publicly admitted that they were told their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. As an artist, I've always been very passionate about what I do. I take my music and my performances serious. Bearing in mind, you've seen what she looks like and what she sings about. I cannot take any of this seriously because she is it's just ridiculous. Because at the end of the day, I want to put out the best art that represents me and my fans. Well, actually, I guess now you know what she looks like and what she sings about. I guess that does perfectly represent her, doesn't it? With passion comes hard work and high standards. What high standards?
What high standards does she have for herself?
No, fucking none.
None.
But high cholesterol standards,
yeah,
maybe. Sometimes I have to make hard decisions, but pie to eat. But it's never my intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable or like they aren't valued as an important part of the team. I am not here to be looked at as a victim, but I also... You victim... God. But I also know that I am not the villain that people in the media have portrayed me to be these last few days. I'm very open with my sexuality and expressing myself, but I cannot accept or allow people to use that openness to make me out to be something I am not. There is nothing I take more seriously than the respect we deserve as women in the world. I know what it feels like to be body shamed on a daily basis and would absolutely never criticize or terminate an employee because of their weight. I'm hurt, but I will not let the good work.
Yeah, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. I'm hurt, but I will not let the good work I've done in the world be overshadowed by this. I want to thank everyone who has reached out in support to lift me up during this difficult time. No one can fucking lift you.
This is long.
All right, literally no one can lift you because you are fucking ginormous.
You need a crane.
So initial thoughts on that, guys, because it's important to note, you know, she came out and said all of this nonsense. But there have been like pretty high up people that have been, you know, that have now come out. So there was someone that was like, who was working on one of her shows, who was like the producer on one of her shows and was like, the director, sorry. And was like, no, I literally had to quit because of the disrespect that I was getting from Lizzo. So yes, this is all bollocks to me, I think, personally.
And she's gonna be held to the same bologna sausage standard that she's tried to put other people under with all of this virtue signaling nonsense that she's into.
Don't say bologna.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, I look, we said this at the time. I'm gonna stick by it. It's too ridiculous not to believe that this is true.
Yeah.
No, and I mean her whole thing about expressing sexuality. I'm just waiting for a lot of this clap back to all these folks who were, you know, all for the Me Too movement. But as soon as you realize being overtly sexual is going to put you in some precarious positions, they may rethink some of this stuff. Because the thing, again, she's not categorically denying. I mean, she's denying some of it, but she's also making excuses at the same time, which makes it even more sus.
Yeah.
Because she's like, it's unbelievable. But then she's all like, well, I've always been open sexually. Well, okay, so what are you trying to say here then? It should have been a very simple, I categorically deny these allegations and I will have my day in court. That's all you fucking say. You say no more.
Yeah.
You leave it alone or you don't even respond.
So she's bi?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck she is, but I don't really give a shit.
Who knows?
My point is that all these folks who were like, oh, you know, these were the front runners in the Me Too movement era, as far as, you know, the same type of people. These are the same type of people acting out sexually right now. This shit's going to come back to haunt them. I mean, the shit that we were told is worse than Weinstein crap in some ways, if you ask me. At least with Weinstein, there's that half-ass promise of a fucking career afterwards. What do you get after you eat a banana out of a vagina from fucking Lizzo? You get fucking fat shamed is what you get.
But it's important to note, right? Oscar nominee Sophia Gnarly Allison has come out and spoken out against Lizzo. So she exited her role as the director of Lizzo documentary in 2019 after only 2 weeks because, and I quote, she was treated with such disrespect. So it's not outside of the wheelhouse of what we already know about this individual. You know,
at this point, she's got to prove her innocence as far as I'm concerned. Sorry, I'm not normally like that, but yeah.
I don't know I haven't looked into all the details on this, but just from, scrolling through social media and stuff, wasn't she like fat shaming some of her own
that was what I was
something?
joking about. Supposedly one of the dancers as part of the lawsuit said that she was being fat shamed by Lizzo for gaining some weight.
Like she has room to talk.
Exactly. No, she doesn't have
no room because she's so big. Way.
Yeah.
This reminds me of a line from a movie, and I'm going to change the line up a little bit. Some people in the chat might know the movie. Some people on here on the panel might know the movie.
Debbie Does Dallas.
No. An obese woman, a disgusting woman who could barely stand up, a woman who, if you saw her on the street, you'd point her out to your friends so that they could join you in mocking her. A woman who, if you saw her while you were eating, you wouldn't be able to finish your meal. You guys know the movie?
I
support body shaming, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, I unequivocally support. Like I it's the same with like all the sort of identitarian nonsense that's being pushed around today.
They're trying to normalize
you live in a world where society now can no longer self-regulate, right? That's what used to happen. Society regulated the nonsense out of existence. And now, because we live in a cotton wool society, everything runs rampant. You wouldn't see, right, an anorexic pop star pushed to stardom like Lizzo is. And this is two ends of exact same spectrum. And any guys, if you're watching this and your missus is with you and they're like, shut up, Lizzo's really beautiful, turn to your girlfriend or your wife and go, yeah, she is really beautiful. Just there's something about Lizzo with you as well. You know, compare your missus to Lizzo. See how quick that beauty standard gets flipped. It is a fucking facade. It is nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to normalize all this crazy stuff, like, extreme obesity. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that, and especially me for sure, could lose a couple lbs. But there's that point to where it's just like
there's a limit.
Yeah, like I'm not having to get on the little scooter at the store to ride around because my legs can't walk my body around. It's just it's not healthy, at all.
Thing is, like you'd have the stuff about this is hilarious because the religious shaming was funny as well because what the dance captain is highly religious, and the moment she found out that one of the dance crew was a virgin, she like kept prodding the fact that she was you should be happy that someone is a virgin if you're a Christian, if that's actually what you believe. Like, what are you doing? This whole stuff,
she's full of shit.
Hypocrisy.
Yeah.
It just reeks of hypocrisy all through and through. It's all nonsense.
I mean, could she be innocent? Maybe, but that's the problem we all have here. Not a single one of us, and I don't even think anybody in the audience thinks she's innocent. This is almost worse than the what's-his-face Marvel dude right now.
Oh, Jonathan Majors. Yeah.
Jonathan Majors. At least there's some room for doubt. I don't doubt any of this shit.
Yeah, none of it.
Not a single. In fact, it's probably worse than this.
Yeah. Well, how loud has she shouted about all of this stuff? Time after time after time. Yeah. Those who shout the loudest. It's like never believe a male feminist.
Yeah, exactly.
Wrong with them, right? they're doing it like it. It's always interesting. Those people who, no matter what it is, they go to the extreme ends of a certain spectrum. So say like, and just as a rule of, just as an example, it's not a rule of thumb. It's just as an example. Those that find Christianity later in life, but they go to the extreme cult-like level, right? Which it can obviously be that level. When you become a born-again Christian and you're to that extreme where you're sort of exorcising parts of your family because they believe, you believe they're going to go to hell, etc., etc. Mark my words, there are some skeletons in your closet that you are wanting to repent for. It's the same with all of this crap. It's exactly the same. White knighting, male feminism. There is stuff that you're putting on this exterior shell. You just don't need, you don't need to tout this stuff. Tout your virtue if that's just genuinely what you believe. You just don't need to. Those that shout the loudest, hiding something.
Yeah, one of the most popular verses in the Bible is when Jesus is telling people, those without sin cast the first stone at the whore that they brought before them, and everybody leaves because he's making a point like, hey, nobody's perfect. We all do, effed up stuff from time to time, bad decisions. We all have skeletons. None of us are perfect, so
but remember Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We ain't saying what you should or shouldn't do. Just remember Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, like I said, thought this was hilarious. Thought we would cover this a little bit more.
Even if she is innocent, I ain't apologizing. I don't give a shit.
No. Do we think this will go to court or not? What do we think the viability of this going to court is?
I bet you some checks get wrote.
It's gonna get it's gonna get settled. Big checks are gonna get written.
Definitely. Because once this thing, if this goes to court and all that, if it's a judgment by a judge and all that's public record. That's why most people settle out of court because they don't want a lot of this stuff out in public,
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's probably video evidence and stuff too. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You're in Amsterdam partying, that someone's gonna have some photos.
That's what I mean. Everybody has freaking phones now. There's cameras at most places. Chances are they're not gonna make these kind of allegations if you don't have something to back it up.
They won't even let this case get to discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. That's my point, Nick. Yeah. There's no way they want any of this shit getting out. I guarantee you that's going to be part of the deal, dude. You know exactly what I'm saying. To be able to snuff all this stuff. Any videos, any evidence, anything, blah, 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 goes all back to Lizzo's lawyers.
Yeah. And then afterwards, they'll all get leaked.
Her label's going to write that check. Don't be fooling yourself.
Yeah.
Well, let's shuffle on, guys. We got a super sticker from Tom Working for $3. Thank you so much, my dude. Really appreciate that. And a tipping barn. Brilliant. For $1.99. This is his first joining the podcast live. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I've never seen a tipping barn. Nice to have you.
I have. But,
they come from Midnight's Edge in my channel. So
so thank you so much. This will be your new favorite podcast.
It will be.
Promise.
Welcome. We apologize for Nate.
He's British.
All right.
He's British. We make no excuses.
I'll see myself.
He literally just yeeted himself from his own show.
Well, all right, here we go, guys.
I'm fucking back. Oh dear. Thank you for joining, Tiff and Bar. Do appreciate that, I do genuinely. Tom Working for $5 says, before you comment on the moat in another's eyes, check the log in your
it's another one.
Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely.
Look, I ain't innocent, but I ain't making people eating friggin' bananas out vaginas.
Exactly. This is the thing. Like I've like whenever I cover like a sensitive subject, like I just random bits and pieces. It's always important to note is that like jokes, for instance, when I cover humor and there's like, oh, this person's been cancelled due to unsavory humor. I'm like, mate, you've said worse things than what this person's been cancelled for with your friends. Guaranteed. Everyone has. And you say you haven't, you're a liar. You're an absolute liar, because it's just what people do. It's human nature. There's no harm meant to it. There's no, it's a characterization of someone's moral compass. It's nothing like that. It's just humor. So yeah, no one's a saint. That's for sure.
Yep,
that is absolutely for sure.
Maximizers, logs, yeah, there's a whole lot of them, and yeah, I mean, we all need to take a page out of that. To be fair.
Yeah. And we've got a brand new first super chat ever from Rebound. So thank you so much, Maduna. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the live podcast. Do appreciate it. So for £2, so he's a fellow Englishman or Brit, whichever you want to be called, depending on where you are, unless you're Welsh or Scottish. Joking, obviously. It says, hey all, Mr. H, will you, consider going on FNT, so Friday Night Tights? I don't know. I don't know them, basically, so I can't be like, oh, I'll just go on there then. I don't know them. I have no personal interaction with them at all. I can't consider going on there. The option's never been there, so I'm not, basically, if that makes any sense. Just a quickly straight down the line. I don't know them. I don't know them. So the people you'll see me sort of circulating on. I've been on the Critical Drinkers podcast. Like the Drinker, good dude. So we are aware of one another. We've chit chatted a few times, etc., etc. He's a good dude. So I've been on his podcast. Go on Midnight Sage After Dark, Midnight Sage, and obviously Tom, etc.
Have you ever gone on Maulers?
No. I don't know Mauler outside of interacting on.
Wait, I thought all you British folks knew each other. Come on.
Yeah, we only live like down the road from one another.
That's what I thought.
Come on, culture. It's not like they're black.
Wow.
Oh, there's one of those spicy jokes.
Yes, I'm being spicy today.
Oh dear.
So I wish Andre was here, because he has a very funny story about getting into a cab once, and I can't remember what country it was in. It was somewhere in the US, I believe. And they said, "Oh, you're from Norway?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you know this guy? He's from Norway. He was in my cab last month or whatever." And he goes, "Normally, I would not say that all of us Norwegians know each other, but it just so happens to be that is my neighbor."
That is funny.
It's a funny story. It's a very funny story.
It's like, of all the people in the world, yeah.
Who else have I been on? WDW Pro went on. Been on Valiant Renegades.
Been on our main channel, Echo Base Network,
a few times. Yeah, been on Echo Base Network. So I tend to sort of circulate where I know, where I can hang out.
On Flashcast is like
it's very drawn out.
It's like an endurance training session.
I normally pop on as they're running to the end, because they're finishing up as I wake up in the morning. So I'm like, oh, Flash, let's send an invite, and I'll sort of pop on for a little bit, just as a bit of fun. But basically, guys, obviously this show is my priority. This is my show. This podcast is my priority. So I tend to focus on this, and then outside of that, I just tend to circulate where I'm, where I know I'm going to have a good time, and I can sort of interact with people I know, basically friends, internet friends, as it were, because I prefer to. This is my free time, isn't it? Basically, so I'd like to hang out with people that I can have a good laugh with. Anyway, hopefully that answers your questions. We'll shuffle on now, and we'll obviously get to some more super chats. So if you want to support the show, please do. Super chats are the way to do it. But boy, howdy, have we got a hilarious topic for everyone right now. I've never seen this ever. The Meg 2, The Trench. 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
There are some famous movies that have 0%, but yeah, not very often do you see it. That's true.
It's quite unusual, isn't it?
That means it's probably the greatest movie ever made.
And this is a critic's rating, right?
Yeah. So of course, if the critics hate it, that means it's good, because the critics love Ninja Turtles. So
This is we're getting some flack for that Ninja Turtles review on the second channel, buddy.
What?
I'm not gonna lie. There's a
do you
lot of
mean?
people going, you're just 40-year-old grumpy old men. Blah, 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 blah." Shut
Yeah,
up.
well, us 40-year-old grumpy old men made Ninja Turtles what they are, so shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is true.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is
I hate that. That is something that bothers me every freaking time. It's like, dude, I was watching Ninja Turtles before you were even a glimmer in your daddy's eye. Shut the fuck up.
And you know what?
I hate
That's
that.
ageist. Yeah, that's ageist against us critics.
Yeah, isn't that supposed to be a no-no thing
Yeah,
nowadays?
it's a no-no thing, you virtue signaling crazies.
Well, so basically, it's had 6 reviews. 6 reviews, and it is at 0.
They don't like
0.
Jason Statham. That's what it is. That they are Jason Statham.
Roger Ebert would have loved it.
Yeah.
The thing is about this, right? Like the first, the thing about the Meg, the first movie, you're not. It's not supposed to be taken seriously.
No.
Right? You are watching a movie about a giant bloody.
It's like Sharknado.
Megalodon.
Monster
Yeah.
Shark.
Not quite
Yeah.
Sharknado, but kind of in
No.
between Sharknado and Jaws or
Yeah,
Deep
yeah,
Sea or
yeah.
something
It's
like
a-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big budget, take the piss shark film. That's
Yeah.
basically what it is, right? Like it's. I tell you what it is, right? It's if a great analogy. I think it is as if they made. They were going to pit Megalodon or Jaws against Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone, right? It's like an 80s action movie
Right.
version of Jaws. That's basically what
Yeah.
you're dealing with here,
Yeah.
right? It's supposed to be bombastic. It's supposed to be larger than life. Hey, it's supposed to just be hilarious. Like it's not supposed to be taken seriously. I know loads of people were annoyed about it because the book was supposed to be taken seriously. It was well researched by Steve Alton, all these kind of things. I get that. But he signed off on this. He was very happy with this. Clearly, he wanted this. Are you going to be more happy with no one knowing about your work or loads of people knowing about your work and it being maybe a slight dilution of it, but you still happy with it? I'd probably take the latter, to be fair.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Meg 0? I bet it'll be good fun. I bet you this movie will be good fun. What did you guys think of the first one?
I thought it was fine. I mean, I'm not going to say it was the best movie I've ever seen or anything, but I thought,
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I don't always go to movies to be critical of them. Sometimes I go to see fun things because they look fun. I'm going to have fun seeing this. You don't get that very much. So yeah.
This is a beer flick. This is a beer.
Oh,
flick.
indeed,
So I there's like popcorn flicks and there's beer flicks.
Yeah.
Popcorn flick is like a mindless switch your thing off. A beer flick is a movie which you're there genuinely just to have a good time and sort of it's like a guilty pleasure, but not. That's how I kind of constitute a beer flick. Like a popcorn flick is like what most superhero movies are these days.
Yeah,
just mindless
like,
popcorn.
I didn't see it when it first came out. I bought the 3D Blu-ray just because I generally
Did
get
you?
3D Blu. Yeah, because if it's they're they kind of quit making a lot of them, so it's like whenever I find them anymore, I grab them.
Yeah,
and they just so happened to do a 3D version of that one, so I grabbed it, and I never watched it until I think it was last fall or summer. And I was like, holy shit, this was a lot better than I thought it was going to be as far as like entertaining, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a little long, I guess, at the end of the day, but I was like, no, it wasn't too shabby, and it was fun. And it looks like this one's going to be more fun. I mean, if you're into things like Jaws and Jurassic Park and, like I am, I mean, I don't see why you would have a problem with something like this. I don't have a problem with like endless shark movies. What I do have a problem with movies like Sharknado that don't take themselves serious enough, because I just hate movies that are trying to be bad movies. I like bad movies that are unintentionally bad movies. Yeah. When it comes to movies like shark movies, I will give them a pass like I usually do rubber monster movies.
Just to put it into perspective, right? This movie had a budget of about 130 to 170 million dollars. It grossed 530 million dollars.
Wow,
not bad.
It did pretty well. The first one did obviously well enough to do a sequel. So
yeah, I don't know what the Meg 2. What the Meg 2 has an estimated budget of 185 million dollars.
Say there's more sharks in this one, so it's got to be bigger budget.
Yeah, well, it's not.
And if you look at the movie posters on this stuff, like the movie posters on this are awesome. Like showing the big, huge, ginormous shark, with the little tiny person in their little float, and you can see the whole mouth of the shark. Like everybody's been saying on here, this is just a fun popcorn flick. Yeah, that's just that you just go and have fun with. It's not winning any Oscars or nothing.
It's not supposed to, is it? That's the thing, right?
Nick, my favorite thing about this is in the trailer where the two people are on the little paddle boat.
Pedalo.
Right?
Yeah.
I was laughing.
Oh God. And that's one of those things that in any other type of movie they would get free. But like, nah, you're dead. Yeah, you're being chomped up in this. That's it. You're dead. You're dead. No saving yourself for this.
And I like the first one. Of course, I I'm not going and getting the 4K Blu-ray and all that. But if I'm flipping through the channels and it's on, I'll generally stop on the first one just because I like shark movies. I'll sit there and watch it just because of the ginormous shark in there.
Yeah, it's good fun. Good dumb fun, and they've been pretty tongue in cheek in all the well, the whole thing's tongue in cheek, but in the marketing material, they're like, oh yeah, this glass, this is Meg proof. Bush dead. Like what? Just straight up dead. Yeah. Crazy stuff. I love it,
and I want to see that. I want to see that happen. I want to see the build up sequence. I want to see it happen. I want to see it. So yeah.
No. And generally, I'll give these type movies like a 5 or a 6, but that doesn't mean that I hated the movie.
No,
I mean, I'll know that it's not that great of a movie, but I can still like a movie that's not that great of a movie.
Thing is, at its base level, this movie will succeed at what it's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to be entertaining. All movies are supposed to entertain in one shape or another. The worst thing a movie can be is boring.
Oh,
and there's been a lot of boring movies.
Well, and isn't this Lionsgate too? So they probably have a deal with Amazon or Netflix after the movie's done with its run. So this movie will probably, even if it doesn't do that well in the box office, it'll end up doing okay on video and streaming.
It's distributed by Warner Brothers.
Is it a Warner picture?
They're the distributors. I don't know who the.
Wow, why did I think the first one was Lions?
It was Gravity Pictures made the film.
Okay.
Warner's distributing it, so never mind.
Well, they'll put it straight on Max, so that'll be good.
Boy, Warner is just.
I know.
Why are they competing with Barbie?
I don't know.
Well, it's counter programming. I don't think that's.
I guess at the end of the day,
you've had 2-3 weeks. 2-3 weeks of Barbie for all the girls, and then the men have.
But Barbie hasn't really tapered off at all.
No, but you see what I mean. Like, I think that's quite good counter programming.
Yeah.
And realistically, they're competing against Universal, aren't they, with Oppenheimer? But again,
that's the other thing that I thought that was kind of funny because it was kind of a sore note for Warner Brothers to lose Nolan, and then they're still promoting Oppenheimer. Mm-hmm. Because I guarantee you, there's no way Oppenheimer made this much money without Barbie. It's
Well, I mean, I'm still getting notifications on my phone to like trying to get me to go see the second half of The Leg, and I hate to tell them I saw Oppenheimer. And I just didn't see it at the theater that I normally go to. So I went to the restaurant theater that's close by. So just that's a little bit better experience. But yeah,
anyway, Meg 2. I think it deserves people to watch it. I think that's going to be good.
It's out. What do we think? This weekend.
I know. I need to watch it. I need to watch it. What do we think, guys? You gonna watch it? Is it on your watch card?
I'm headed to the theater to see it. I just haven't picked the day yet. So
I don't know if I'm gonna go see it in the theater, but I'm sure I'll see it when it hits video. If not,
yeah. I want to be able to talk about it because I know Tuesday will probably, if Nate sees it, we'll probably end up talking about it. So
honestly, I don't know how well it's gonna do simply because of Barbenheimer.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Counter program is a thing. It may get squashed. In fairness, it may be a complete flop. But
I don't know who these idiots are who see this shit. Like I get it because I've had the same kind of problem with the Ninja Turtle thing. The damn thing managed to make $10 million last night, which isn't astronomical, but it's still not anything to sneeze at. Yeah. So it's like, who are these people and why are they going to see this and why are they fighting for this movie? Like I don't
I don't know. Yeah, it's the hill to die on, isn't it?
Well, and I've been getting bombarded anyway because of the gay thing with Splinter, but yeah.
Well, let's shuffle on. We've got to bring in our last panel guest, which
Hey.
is Andre. How you
Hey,
doing,
greetings. Sorry for being late. I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Just came back,
Good.
so I ran
Where
in
are
there.
we
I've been
traveling
listening to
now?
and enjoying the show so far.
All right.
Cool.
You're not
Well,
home yet, evidently, so you're jet setting somewheres.
Yeah.
I am in my home away from home.
Very nice. Well, you join us just as we get to some super chats, and I think this one will be an interesting one for all of us to go to, which is Israel R for $10 says, "Do you guys suspect that Lucasfilm is hiding the plot points of The Acolyte because they already know it will cause more controversy for them?" Yes.
Yes.
Because they are just signaling their virtue. Anything you've heard about the show is not one remote plot point. It's all virtue signaling bollocks.
100%.
So to me, that's an unequivocal yes. But what do you guys think?
That's all I've seen from the get-go when they started promoting the Acolyte. That's actually really happening. To anybody that's listening to the rumors that it's not, it is actually happening. The show is real and it is coming out.
It's in post-production.
You guys told me it was a plot. It was a ruse to out Kathleen Kennedy or something.
No, we did not say that.
Yeah, no,
yes, you did. Tom did.
No, we
Tom
didn't.
did.
I think he was being funny.
Yeah, obviously.
But yeah,
Not happening. You guys should know it's KK Anon. Come on.
Yeah, that was it. KK Anon. But yeah, since the get-go, that's all it's been, and we've talked about this on the main channel over at Echo Base Network, that what is this show about? Nobody's even telling anything like, they don't have guns. About good versus evil, and it's all about the diversity, the inclusion, the female director, the no guns, all this stuff.
Save spaces for black people.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with the actual show. What's the show about? What are we doing here?
It's not about wars because there ain't no blasters, baby.
Yeah.
Well, there's no wars.
No, they've
already said.
This is let's see. This is intersectional feminism Star Wars version. That's what this is, and that's all you're going to get. And they even named the production company on both the States and in the UK as Blue Stockings, a huge feminist organization.
Yeah. Which was a knock at George Lucas's Blue Harvest.
Yes.
Which was the code name for Return of the Jedi. For those that didn't know.
Ridiculous.
But yeah, this is going to be an absolute train wreck. When this thing comes out, it will 100% get destroyed by most people. I'm sure there'll be some people out there that'll like it, but
yeah, a tiny few. What do we think, controversy-wise, could be so bad that they're trying to hide? Let's sort of have our
Honestly,
what do we think?
I don't think they're trying to hide anything. I think that diversity is really all there is to it, and because the only thing that we have gotten about the story is something, and I'm paraphrasing here, but something along the lines of the evil not being so evil and the good not being so good, and something about shades of gray and some bullshit. That's the only thing we've kind of gotten, other than diversity and women empowerment in a franchise that was just way too problematic. That tells me that even the point of view characters are going to be evil. And the plot, the story, and the characters are all going to be so paper thin that I don't think that they're trying to hide anything. There's nothing to hide. It's just paper thin plot, paper thin characters, and it's all about diversity and blurring the lines between good and evil, because evil people are the ones making this. Lest we forget, the person who's behind the series is the former personal secretary, aka the enabler of Mr. Weinstein.
An acolyte of Weinstein's, you might want to say.
Exactly. And here's like the thing. This woman does not get a pass. I mean, all of those ladies that he did nasty things to, Miss Headland is the one who booked them and set them up and probably shut them up afterwards.
Unequivocally, she knew about it.
I'm going to agree with Andre. I don't think they're hiding anything about it. I just don't think people care enough. And they don't really have anything to show off at the end of the day, too.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I guess in respect to the comment itself, the question, I mean, having nothing, would that cause controversy? Just
and
get
also,
laughed at.
There's another side to this, because I don't think that they're trying to hide anything because they know it will cause more controversy for them. That would require sufficient self-insight that they know that, oh, we screwed up on this one. Let's just try to hide it while we move on and do better with the next thing, right? That is the mentality that you need to have in order to try to hide something. They're not trying to hide anything. They are there loud and proud out in the public. Look at all this diversity. That's the first thing this thing has going for it, and that's the primary thing. And secondary, it'll blur the lines between good and evil because the people behind it are evil.
Yeah,
that's all there's to it. There's no big.
There's nothing to show off either. They keep telling us this is not going to have any blasters. It's going to have like next to nothing as far as action in it. So what are they supposed to show off in the trailers? A bunch of people having feelings in spaceships?
Well, no, they said that the action's all body to body, like a dance.
It's called sex.
Oh yeah, there is some of that in this, isn't there? Actually,
sex.
There is some of that in this, wasn't there?
They have an intimacy coordinator.
Oh. Yeah, but to be fair, first time in Star Wars.
To be fair, you're going to need an intimacy coordinator in Disney these days to have characters hold hands. I don't necessarily
probably need them for Miss Headland.
Yeah.
Hey, well, there we go. Acolyte. What an absolute shit show that's going to be. Absolute shit show. Mexican Iron Man joins us with $5 and says, listening while working. Keep up the great work. Congrats.
Muggy.
Woot, woot. Thank you so much, my dude. I haven't forgotten. You're our gateway into the Disney earnings call. So you said you do it. You said you do it, so I'm holding you to it.
Well, he might have trouble with that.
Fuck, what do you mean? Yeah. He said he would.
All right.
What do you mean? He's what? What? Don't piss in my parade. What's going on?
No, it'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just forget I said it. Forget I said it.
Right. Steven Ramirez for $5 says, I don't know what's worse, my spelling error on my first super chat or Lizzo fat shaming other fat people. Heavy topics.
I can explain exactly why she does that. Why the thin people of her dancers get the pass, but the more, well, let's be honest, while the fatter of her dancers are.
Oh, we've been brutal, Andre. You missed it. We've covered it already.
I know, but you missed this.
You don't need to tiptoe around it. We don't give a shit. It's fine.
Yeah. No. Basically, I mean, the fat dancers, they are the ones who are a threat to her because they're the ones who are going to eat too much at the tour buffet.
Oh,
love it.
Nobody
Andre
can be
made a funny.
Nobody can be as big as her on stage. She's got to be the biggest thing out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes effort to build a body like that.
Can't wait for the Weird Al parody.
Oh God.
Mr. H, you ain't got nothing on her. So.
Tommy Reviews for $5 says, "Hail, Mr. H and fellas. Random question, but Tom, what is the news of the OG Mario Brothers 4K? Funnily enough, my local drive-in is playing it this weekend." Tom,
that's strange. That's very strange indeed. Because for them to be able to show it in a digital cinema, that means a 4K master must already exist.
Yep.
So, yeah, this comes from there was a big, huge breakdown. I believe it was in Guardian, just about the history of Mario Brothers. It was put out here recently due to the success of the reboot or whatever you want to call it, the new animated film. And they were just going through the history of the making of the first film. And the special effects artist on the film was talking about how he would love the opportunity to go back and finish the movie because recently we have an unearthed earlier cut of the film that has like a good 25 minutes worth of footage that wasn't in the other version, Andre, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh wow,
something like that. And since he said they were doing a 4K restoration, now this interview could have been taken and done way back when the new Mario movie first came out, so it could be that much along now to where this print is ready. Now that means if it's the theatrical cut, that's probably the only version they have. But yeah, Disney has sat on this movie for years and they have treated it like dog shit. If it wasn't for foreign boutique companies, the movie would still be sitting in standard definition. But Second Sight and Umbrella a couple of years back had put out decent Blu-rays, I believe in Australia and the UK respectively. And yeah, it's about damn time we get a newer version of it here in the US. I don't hate the movie. I know a lot of people dislike it and hate it. I don't make excuses for it as far as like being a Super Mario story, but at that time they didn't have a lot of the established lore yet, so you could read a lot more into it. But as a cyberpunk movie, Andre and I agree, it's got a lot going for it.
Absolutely, it does. Because here's like the thing. Is it a wrong movie to make as a Super Mario? I mean, were they justified in doing a cyberpunk movie? No, they weren't. Not in Super Mario. But if you are able to mentally accept that this is not Super Mario, the game, this is what happens if you have creatives who are into cyberpunk and who already created Max Headroom, and now they are given the task of making re-envisioning Super Mario as cyberpunk. So consider it a what-if tale. If you view it from that lens, not as a Super Mario fan, but someone open to cyberpunk, it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
And the soundtrack kicks ass.
It does.
And Dennis Hopper is always cool.
And Dennis Hopper alone. You just go ahead, Culture.
No, that's it. That's all I had to say.
That is a statement.
Always cool.
I love my favorite story about him. Did you ever hear about that? Where he's like, he was doing this because he's a dinosaur, and the directors go, "Quit doing that," and he goes, "Okay, I'm going to do it in every scene now," and he does. If you watch the movie.
Oh, what a legend!
They were all drunk during that whole fucking movie.
Yeah, him and
Dennis Hopper was the only one who was clean at that time.
Yeah. Him and Hoskins used to be really.
Well, he might have been drinking though. That's true. I don't know about that, but he was definitely clean from all the other stuff because that was part of his. At that time, for those who may not remember, Hopper had serious drug problems coming out of the 70s, going into the 80s. I think didn't he even famously have a heart attack once on cocaine or something like that.
Something.
I remember. But anyway, he was out of rehab and he had done like a string of movies, and Mario Brothers was one of his big paydays after he got out of rehab.
Yeah. In order for him to qualify for insurance, he had to pass drug tests. So,
well, there you have it, Tommy. You got your money's worth there, bro. So
yeah, you did.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for the super chats. I like it. I always say it. Have to say it. It genuinely goes a long way. The show is demonetized, so this podcast is funded by you guys for you guys. So please do keep those questions coming. And like I said, some of them are so good. More often than not, they become their own videos. So on the second channel. Al Humphreys sent a £3 super sticker. Just to quickly say, Al, did you send a Border Terrier cushion cover and a Border Terrier House Rules magnet for Jasper's birthday, as well as the other things that you sent?
Ooh, I like a magnet idea.
Did you send that or not? Because that came through today, not on the same delivery as the previous stuff. So if you did, thank you so much. If you didn't, who the fuck sent that? But yeah, they're really cool. So thank you so much if that was you, Al.
Yeah, if I can for just a second. I gotta say, guys, when you guys send us stuff, please let us know what your handles are. Because sometimes we're at a loss as to who's. I mean, Al Humphreys, obviously, if that's your real name, that's easy one. But like, there's times where I've gotten stuff in the mail, and I would really like to thank the people, but I don't want to dox somebody's real name.
Right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's difficult because I think if this, I'm pretty certain it was Al anyway, but I think he ordered it through like an Etsy company, and there's not really any note which you can get them to do stuff like that, to be like, if you sent it direct from the the sort of purchasing place. So I don't know, but yeah, I exactly the same as you. It's always good to you never want to appear unappreciative. You want to give your sincere thanks. So having a heads up on who it was.
It was him. He says so in the chat.
Good. Sweet. Yes, thought it was.
Now I want the magnet.
Yeah,
the magnet's really cool.
The magnet's really cool. Magnets. It's
the magnet's like Border Terrier House Rules.
Dude.
The Border Terrier can't do this. Okay, yes, no, it can, but only with permission. No, it can actually do anything it wants. And it basically right at the end, it's like the border terrier can do whatever it wants, and the humans have to, sort of like allow it. Blah blah blah.
I thought it was actually a magnet of the shirt you have. That's what I was thinking.
No, it's better than that. It's really.
I would
cool.
love to have a magnet of just of him leaving Earth. I like that image too. That's
yeah. Well, I'm trying to expand the merch, get it off of Teespring.
Yeah, talk to our buddies over at Mixed Tees.
Yeah.
Mixed Tees, are they better? Are they?
They're a lot better quality, and they have a lot more options, and they'll work with you. And we know the guys over there, Brian and them. So yeah.
I need to look at that.
Send me some links.
Sure.
I'll have a chit chat. So we'll just shuffle on to some of these other super chats. So Night King 01 says, saw the Punisher vid, says, what I don't get is that they think people can't surmise that Frank Castle is an anti-hero and the book never advocates his actions.
Oh, so did Andre see this? Yeah.
I have not. Have you put out the Punisher video? I haven't seen it. I can't wait to see that.
Well, so it's about this, basically. It's kind of highlighting
Chuck Dixon.
It's highlighting the issue of Marvel in general. And just, this is a representation of Marvel as a whole, is that, and just companies as a whole, is that they genuinely hate the fans, that it doesn't represent their ideological beliefs, I guess. So, Frank Castle and basically Chuck was asked, right? I've been a fan of the Punisher since I was a kid. I've always wanted to ask, do they hate the Punisher because he doesn't fit into their vision? Or do they hate him because of the idea of the fans liking the idea that refutes most of their heroes don't kill argument? And obviously that's kind of tossed to one side. And it basically I think Chuck Dixon's response is very, very accurate.
Yeah.
So he says they don't like him for the same reason that DC doesn't like Guy Gardner, and fans like the Punisher for the same reason they like Guy Gardner. Most comic book characters are either brainiacs, mutant scientists, and there's a few superheroes that have blue-collar origins. Frank Castle, Guy Gardner are blue. Basically, they appeal to the normal person more. They're average guys driven to extremes, and a lot of readers respond to that because a lot of readers aren't brainiacs, mutants, or scientists. They're driving a truck or stocking shelves, working for a paycheck. So he says further, people respond to these characters because of those origins and because they have blue-collar origins. When they're written correctly, they say stuff and do stuff that other comic book characters won't. They don't have the same morals, the same code. So he talks about other people killing people, and he says, obviously people, the other heroes have killed people. Wolverine kills people. Captain America obviously killed a bunch of Nazis. He didn't take any of them prisoner. Frank Castle, you can't single out Frank Castle as a killer because everyone has killed people, essentially. Most comic book characters have. And so he goes further, which I think is really, really interesting. So he says, new people took over at Marvel and they were just really, really embarrassed about everything about the Punisher, particularly his audience. They didn't like the Punisher and they didn't like the people who liked the Punisher. And this is why it was about 2 years ago, I think it was, that they co-opted, and it's not just the Punisher, they co-opt certain characters to misrepresent individuals. So you had the Red Skull, for instance. The Red Skull became a parody of Jordan Peterson.
Right.
Like, in Marvel's dumbass mind, a Nazi is a literal Nazi is better than Jordan Peterson.
Or rather, they're saying that Jordan Peterson is a literal Nazi. That's
but they've degraded the villain to that. I mean,
it's like they forget where this character even comes from, right? That's the other thing they're embarrassed about. Is this character comes out of, let's be real, it's basically Marvel's version of Death Wish.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, that's how Stanley used to work.
That and like Mac Bolan or something like that.
Yeah, like a little bit of Dirty Harry in there, maybe, but yeah, like the whole idea of this vigilante who has had enough, his family is killed.
Yeah,
that's basically Death Wish. I mean, and that's how, like I said, they used to do this stuff. If something was popular, they're like, well, let's do one of those, and they're forgetting the era that he comes out of. They're forgetting the whole idea of that he comes out of. Is he ever been a quote unquote hero? Not exactly. He is an anti-hero at best. He is not somebody you're supposed to look up to. In most cases, as Andre will point out to you, whenever he meets up with somebody like Spider-Man, who's the good guy in that situation usually?
Well, so this is the interesting thing, is it? Because this has been replicated time and time again. I mean, even more recently, right? So Marvel in this situation act exactly the same way that most reviewers did of the recent series with Chris Pratt, The Terminal List, right? So the Terminal List is a great comparison to the Punisher because it's something we can all relate to it, but we obviously don't want to be that individual. You know, you don't want to be pushed to the absolute limits where you take matters into your own hand and you're just murdering people left, right, and center. No one wants to emulate that, obviously. But on a core moralistic value level, you can relate to it because you can go, right, well, what would I do if literally this is a similar situation? So Terminal List, spoilers, his whole family's murdered and he goes on a fucking rampage. So it's a very similar situation to Punisher in this situation, but it was lambasted in the media as a right-wing revenge fantasy, and it's like, what?
Well, and that's why it's been there's been such a resistance to the Punisher. I mean, Chuck isn't flat out saying it, but when he says that they don't like the fans of the Punisher, what they really are saying is they don't like the conservative bend that the Punisher seems to have.
That's exactly right, because the Punisher's fans, they tend, I'm not saying everyone, but I'm just saying that there's a tiny little trend that they tend to sway conservative. Yeah, and Marvel don't like that.
You see, and I'll push back against that. I mean, I can see where that perspective comes from, but it's street level characters they don't like. It doesn't matter what their political bend would be. They don't like street level characters. They don't like Daredevil. They don't like Luke Cage. They don't like any of these things. How long did Black?
They like the Punisher less.
Yeah, well, sure, but
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, I agree with you, culture, but yeah, the Punisher, exactly. Like Andre is right, because not only is it more the conservative thing, it's a fact that cops like him as a character,
and the military like him as a character.
In fact, that's true. They made a big stink about cops and military using his symbol. And that's why they keep trying to change his symbol. Yeah.
They don't like the idea of people with hardly and steadfastly held principles and beliefs. They do not like it.
But he says further. So he says, we don't like them. And so we don't like them. We don't like the Punisher readers. We're going to take the Punisher and we're going to mangle him and we're going to destroy him. We're going to do what no other entertainment company ever has done. We're going to purposely take one of our intellectual properties and tear it to the ground. And that's what they did. And it is for that reason, i.e., you know, co-opting the symbol, not liking it, the people that are liking the Punisher, etc., etc., etc. I mean, he's right in the fact that what company is outside of, well, Marvel does this quite often now. They will purposely take one of their properties, which is profitable, and go, oh, you like this? Fuck you then, and then spit in your face and just purposely change it.
I would be broader than that. It's the
same with Superman. Superman did it recently as well, actually. Remember, because they removed. I mean, didn't they have him like raped by some?
Yeah, they had him raped in prison.
That's just the American way. That's gone.
I mean,
so is his ass virginity.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, they had him like gang raped in prison for like a year or something. God.
So there you go. Well, why? I mean, Andre, do you want to see us out answering this question properly? You know, why is it that? Is it because he's an anti-hero? What is it?
It is because Marvel has been co-opted by evil, nasty neo-Marxists who do not like what the Punisher stands for, and they do not like his anti-authority attitude. That he is someone who is a free thinker that takes matters into his own hands and riots to what he sees as injustice in the name of what is right. They don't like that. That is what makes him so dangerous a character. They want to like foster nice and compliant people that will abide by the system and be under them. Just imagine like J. Jonah Jameson from the comics, right? He doesn't like Spider-Man because Spider-Man is a rebel. He's an outsider. But he does like Captain America because Captain America is part of the system. He's part of the establishment. Marvel's bullpen right now is like J. Jonah Jameson. They don't like the Punisher because he's anti-establishment. That's what makes him dangerous. They have more tolerance for Daredevil because, well, Daredevil he's not anti-establishment in the same way as the Punisher is. The Punisher is the single most anti-establishment character that Marvel has, and that is why he's the one that they have to destroy, because what he stands for is something that Marvel as a company can no longer stand for. They had no issue when they were under different people, and he was someone who liked killing criminals. They were happy with the satire of that. There was no issue before, but now it's a different world. It's a different bullpen. It's different people, and now suddenly the Punisher is problematic in a way he never was before. I don't think it has anything to do with him killing criminals. If he was working within the law, it would be a different matter. Case in point, in the comics right now, you know what they have done? They have just jettisoned the Punisher completely. Like Frank Castle is off in Doctor Strangeland or something, and the one who's taken over is some SHIELD agent. Yeah. And Cultured Casino, you were itching to say something.
Nothing important, Andre. You got all my points. Dang it.
You did it to me earlier, so that's
every time I wanted to say it, you said it. Every time I was like,
no, Andre's 100% right. If they changed the Punisher to where he was only attacking corporate white old dudes, they would fucking love him.
Yes.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off of what Andre was saying, you've been seeing, especially here in the U.S., for well over a decade, and Tom mentioned it earlier, a lot of pro Second Amendment people here in the U.S. use that Punisher symbol. A lot of the people that are pushing back on the establishment here in this country that Andre was mentioning have that symbol on their shirts, on their guns, on their gear, on their trucks. So you see it all over the place. And that's exactly what Andre is saying, the anti-establishment stuff. They are wanting people just to go with the narrative and shut up and obey, and this is how it is. We'll tell you how it is, and you just need to accept it and not give any pushback.
There you go, Night King. You stole one of my topics with your own super chat.
And the best $5 ever spent on this channel so far.
Actually, he sponsored that story.
He did, yeah. He's because we were actually going to get to that, so I'm glad we could sort of wrap that into one of your questions as well as like a big old answer to super chat. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Let's get to some of these others before we move on to one of my other topics. So, Total Movie Recall for £5. So again, a fellow Brit says, "Evening, gents. 0% or not, I will be seeing the Meg 2. Yeah, it's no Deep Blue Sea, but I'll be there. Yeah, it's good, dumb fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited.
Look. Okay, so here's what we got coming up. We got the Meg 2 this weekend, so I'm going to go see it. Then we've got Last Voyage of the Demeter. I'm going to see that.
Got to see that.
And then we get a letdown called Blue Beetle.
Shit.
Yeah. And then another letdown, Gran Turismo.
Not looking forward to that either. And I like cars, but I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, I like Formula One. I like IndyCar.
My fucking Datsun 510. My fuel pump, my mechanical fuel pump blew up on my Datsun 510. So bloody annoyed. I had to order another one from the States, so it won't be here for God knows how long. Every fucking time I order something, it's bloody weeks.
It'd probably be easier if I just drove over to Napa and then shipped it to you.
It actually would be. It genuinely would be. Side note, anyone in the chat in the States, if anyone could get hold of a Datsun L20B engine, let me know. Hit me up. I'll buy it. Anyway, moving on. Wartooth88 for $2 says, "Panels, thoughts on upcoming open world Dune RPG." I did not know they're making a Dune RPG.
Oh, they are. It's coming from Funcom, the company behind Conan Exiles.
Is that good?
Yes, that's good. That's very good.
That's a good thing, yeah?
Yes, it's a very good thing.
So what do you think about? You think this will be good then?
I think it'll be good, yeah.
Okay, all right. Guys,
I'll never play it, but I think it'll be good.
It's not on the Sega Mega Drive, so
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. God, of course. Well, Nick plays games every now and then. Nick,
he does.
Yeah, I need to. I'm still trying to get my platinum trophy on Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core and God of War Ragnarok. I don't know about the open world Dune game because I'm not that big of a Dune fan. Like I thought the first movie was okay, but I wasn't like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And I gotta be real picky. It's like going to the movies for me. I gotta be real picky on what I'm spending money on going to the theater and what I'm spending my money on playing a game. And the next big game for me is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which drops the next year. So I don't know if I'll be getting that one.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't be getting it. I seldom play games. I need to get back into playing again. I'm trying to build a Gundam at the moment. I've had it downstairs for like 2 weeks now, and I haven't even started it. I just like God, and I love building Gundams as well. That's why I got some here. I just finding time basically. Also not pissing around my bloody Datsun. Anyway, right. Rebound for £5 says, "Hey folks, a fellow Brit, yes, a Scotsman. Love the podcast since it began. Favorite of a few. Why not your absolute favorite?"
That's fine. That's fine.
No. Wonder if the Meg could consume Lizzo.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, it would give it indigestion if it did.
Yeah.
If it did, it would give it.
I don't think it could do it in one sitting.
Oh,
yeah. He would definitely have to come back for more later.
No, look, all I have to say is that the Meg's
hibernate afterwards.
The Meg's cholesterol would be very, very high.
Yeah.
Very high.
How do you kill a Meg? Feed him Lizzo.
Oh,
Andre's on fire
love
today.
it.
Holy shit.
I love it. So we've got a few more super chats to get to, and then we'll shuffle on. So again, if you want to join in the chat, please. Super chats are the way to do it. Keeps the lights on, supports us. Again, this podcast is funded by you guys, for you guys. So Cosmic Castaway for $5 says, Rachel Zegler is the antithesis of Jenna Ortega, entitled and insufferable.
Yes.
Will she hurt the new Hunger Games film, or will she Barbie it? No, she will hurt. Jenna Ortega is great. Jenna Ortega is she's the masterclass. That's someone that you watch to know how to handle yourself with PR and in the industry, generally speaking. She appears on things. She's incredibly likable. How she handles herself, like the inflection in her voice. Honestly, just you watch anything interview-wise, Jenna Ortega, and you go, "Oh, what a likable person." Someone you could go, "Oh, I'd go and have a beer with you, or a drink or whatever." Rachel Zegler, oh, good fucking God, is she insufferable? Insufferable is the absolute word. Just hearing her voice annoys me. Because you just, I assume you guys know what she sounds like.
That video is almost just basically the definition of how this generation views itself and how self-important they view themselves, how they feel that they are entitled to so very much. It's like, no, Rachel, you are fortunate enough to be able to stand there and make as much money as you've made in that dress and be Snow White. You should feel privileged, because guess what? Not many people get to be in your spot. Regardless of how this movie pans out, it doesn't matter. You already got fucking paid.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, didn't she bitch and stamp her feet and moan so she'd get invited to the Oscars? Pretty certain that was her.
That was her.
God,
she is one of the most entitled little bitches I've ever seen in my life.
Honestly, if you guys in the chat, if you could stomach watching one of her videos and not think, God, fuck this bitch, like, because I know I'm aware the language I'm using is quite harsh, but if you could genuinely watch one of her interviews and not go, fuck this bitch, I will be really surprised, because the everything about her, the way she carries herself, as you said, it screams entitlement. It is that attitude, that entitlement. It's like, yeah, I'm here, but I should be. I'm owed this. It's that sense of, yeah, and what else can I take? What else should I have? Fucking nothing.
Yeah,
you should have anything. Work for it.
Yeah, I can't picture Jenny Ortega doing that. Jenna's very very well spoken. She actually,
can you imagine Jenna Ortega and Rachel Zegler having a conversation?
I want to see her say that shit to a nurse after an 11-hour, 12-hour shift.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, and she's, I had to stand in a dress for 18 hours. Oh boy.
God, can you imagine that?
But of course, those are the words of someone young who has never had a quote unquote real job. And of course, being on a set it's like long days. It is like, let's not deny it. It's long days and it's going to get boring. But it's not going to be. It's not going to be exhausting in the way a day of even the first day of a nurse, first day on the job. It's not going to be anywhere close to that ever.
Well, and to that end, I mean, there are other young actresses that have come up and now are maturing and doing better things, like Aubrey Plaza and many others that know how to conduct themselves in an interview, know how to conduct themselves on a set, and they're very adult and professional. This is not a professional person. She wasn't a professional person even on the set of West Side Story, because I believe that was her, right?
Yeah. But let's be fair here. It's very easy to say, well, she's not. Actually, she does exactly what her representation tells her to do.
Yeah, she's
she's still acting. That isn't really her. That is her public persona, and that public persona is there by design. She has been instructed. This is how you act, because this is how people in your age group will respond to you. They will like this. Oh, we won't like it, but other insufferable little wannabe narcissists like her, they will like it. That's her demographic. That's actually a really important point. They just think of, like, for instance, all of the comic book creators at Marvel and stuff like that have gone and really attacked and assaulted the fans several times over. They do so with either the express or tacit permission from the parent company, since they aren't stopped. Same thing here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that stuff. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nate.
I was just gonna say, and anyone saying, "Oh well, Rachel Zegler's, she's a child," blah 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 blah. It says Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega has been starring in stuff since she was incredibly young. Jenna Ortega is younger than Rachel Zegler, so you can't sit there and go, "Well, she's a child." Yeah, it says Jenna Ortega. If you're going to compare age ranges and be like, "Well, how you." If you compare them like for like, it looks worse for Rachel Zegler. It looks worse, in how she handles herself versus Jenna Ortega. So, yeah, I don't know.
Well, I was just going to say, it's a lot like that situation with Star Wars, right? Going off what Andre said. Oh, yeah, the studios encourage this crap, because they were the ones that implanted in, I can't remember the actress's name, but in her head that she was going to get attacked and it was all going to be racially driven.
Yeah.
So it's this nonsensical bullshit. And she is, and you're right, like, she is trying to, as far as the answer to the question, as far as will it hurt the film, this movie's not going to do well anyway. Whatever she does isn't going to help it or hurt it in one way. It's definitely not going to help it anyway. Hang on, sorry.
Yeah.
But this is what everyone needs to keep in mind. This is all with the approval of the studio and with the agent. They are the ones calling for this behavior because it's going to appeal to their demographic, and that's the real scary part. You have a whole generation that looks to people like this, not with disgust as they should, but as role models to imitate. That's scary for society.
Yeah. Well, let's shuffle on now to our next topic, which is, Warner Brothers. They did a thing, didn't they? So there was the Warner Brothers Discovery earnings call. And just as a quick highlight on this, one of the executives anyway, bragged that the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes have saved the studio $100 million, which is hilarious.
To be fair,
it might have saved you that, but then it's still going to cost you that as well.
It did, actually. They kind of offset each other. that was kind of an understated part of the conversation, but I thought it was interesting that it wasn't an overt brag, but it was done with a lot more tact. In fact, I would say that Zaslav understands how to talk to everybody and talk to the actors, because he followed that up or prefaced it with the idea that they were going to hopefully have everybody back to work in September, which we know is patently untrue. But See, there it is. There's that's it. The top paragraph there says, however, CEO, well, no, the top one. He went one down. There he is.
Yeah.
However, David Zaslav did follow up saying he is hopeful that negotiations can resume fairly soon, which is actually tomorrow, and he's looking like early September, which probably is not. But at least he's like trying to say the right things. And this bigger quote here, which I'll let you read in your lovely British accent, is more telling.
Yeah, so he says, we're in the business of storytelling. Our goal is to tell great stories with the power to entertain, and when we're at our best, inspire with stories that come to life on screens big and small. We cannot do any of that without the entirety of the creative community, the great creative community, without the writers, directors, editors, producers, actors, the whole below-the-line crew. Our job is to enable and empower them to do their best work. We're hopeful that all sides will get back to the negotiating room soon, and that these strikes get resolved in a way that the writers and actors feel they are fairly compensated and their efforts and contributions are fully valued. I think all of us in this business are very keen to figure out a solution as quickly as possible. We are in some uncharted waters in terms of the world as it is today and measuring it all. And so I think in good faith, we all got to fight to get this resolved. And it needs to be resolved in a way that the creative community feels fairly compensated and fully valued. A very down the line political remark. I will wonder how the mainstream media will twist this, though, because they seem to have a hard on for hating Zaslav. But you were on that call, weren't you? So
yes.
Do you want to tell us all about it? What happened?
Okay, so there's going to be a lot of ways that this is reported in the press, and it's fine. I mean, yes, they did miss a revenue goal by not a whole lot. It wasn't very substantial, but they did double their free cash flow by $1.7 billion. They had lower than expected churn, but the churn did increase, which means they were losing subscribers for their direct-to-consumer. Their direct-to-consumer business turned it around so hard that they are only $3 million in the negative on direct-to-consumer. Unlike Disney,
that's amazing,
who's turning in $500 million to $1 billion negative on DTC every quarter. Unbelievable turnaround. But they're working on higher valued customers for their businesses. So they're not rolling out globally in a way that's going to sacrifice their average revenue per user. In fact, they were touting the fact that it continues to grow. And if you look at it quarter over quarter, it has substantially. They also didn't have the kind of downturn in ad sales that other entities did as well. Even though they did have so it moved the wrong way a bit, they're still headed the right direction. They've also done some things that I really am impressed with as far as the global launch. They are going out and pricing their product properly. So with the minute somebody takes it on, they're going to have an even higher ARPU. And they did something that I think is key. They announced to the world, not directly, but they are going to do live sports on their streaming platforms.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a game changer. And again, a lot of this isn't reflected in a lot of the stories that you're reading, but they actually have the capability to do that immediately, because when they buy sports rights, they also buy the streaming rights. They don't allow for them to be broken up like Disney does and things like that. So they literally can stream anything they want at any time, which would include all the basketball here in the States on TNT or any of the other places that they can stream that. So they also did something that surprised me as well. They talked about it like right as one of the first three subjects, which is usually the most important things they want to get to in the softball version of the presentation. They were trying to bring attention to their gaming. So they really want their gaming to get out there. They highlighted that the new Mortal Kombat game MK1 is coming out, and the success of Hogwarts Legacy, and they have other games getting set to come out in the very near future. I think that the Villains versus Heroes game, the Suicide Squad versus Injustice League or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't, if that's what it's called, I don't remember. They also highlighted that they won more Emmys across the board than anybody else, or they were nominated for more, 181. Then they mentioned Barbie, but they really couldn't go into it because it doesn't factor into the quarter that they just were talking about. And then and they are leaning back into old IPs in the future. Expect them to exploit all the stuff they already own. So
something that they said that they were going to do already, basically.
Yeah. And they're making a massive shift. They're going to limit. They're going to make fewer tent poles, so they're not going to hamstring themselves financially, and just make more content. So it was a he said the tent poles are important as far as films go, but they're going to make just more films, less expensive. So very cool.
That's the way to do it, isn't it? Like you swamp the market with numbers at a lower value, so you get the potential profit share on the back end of it. Like that was what used to happen, and then they just went for blockbuster after blockbuster. Like every movie had to be a blockbuster of $1 billion. I mean, that's where the industry's falling apart.
Well, and this is something that Tom and I and Andre and I, or all of us have probably talked about, but mostly Tom and Andre and I, they're actually leaning back into the idea of selling their content to other people to stream, like Netflix and Amazon and Apple.
I think your point there is a really good one, though, because if you look at it like Blumhouse, for instance, they release such absolute garbage dog shit most of the time, but they're like consistently in profit because the volume, the quantity of product that they release at such a low price tag, their profit margins are huge normally. You know, they're normally raking in quite a lot of profit. And so like Warner Brothers seem to be following that method, you know, going back to sort of that approach by the sounds of it. Is that about right?
Yeah, no, you spot on. And then they're doing something Disney used to do called utilizing synergy. So when you see a film like Barbie, it's advertised everywhere. It's advertised on sports. It's advertised everywhere. It's like one of their lower thirds graphics that's placed on the bottom of the screen. So they're using that across everything to cross promote everything that they have, which is one of the reasons that they attribute Barbie. That's one of the things they attribute Barbie's success to. And then they have stopped the divorce talk of splitting, of selling off some part of their company, like Warner Brothers or some parts of Discovery. They have stopped that conversation cold. So that's an interesting thing. But it's insane right now. They spoke specifically to the lower end trash, like the old school CW stuff. They're glad to be out of that business. They're no longer making that lower level garbage that devalues their brands. And they talked specifically addressing the other regional sports networks that have had trouble. They're getting out of that business and just leaning into what they control, like TNT, TBS, all that other stuff. They're stepping away from that business and winding it down. So there's that.
So, Andre, you're a numbers man. What did you make of it all? What do you think of all of that?
I haven't had time to research it, other than what the culture was saying. But referring what he said, there are some good signals here. I specifically, since they are oriented with making money, have mistakes been made so far? Yes, very obviously, no one is denying that. But I am much more optimistic on their behalf than for certain other companies, because they show a willingness to go with the market, to adjust to it, and to actually turn a profit. Culture.
No, I want to hit a sweet spot for you, because you're gonna be able to talk about this better than I can. So you remember they told you that they were going to be out from underneath about $2 billion worth of garbage, their cost cutting measures by 2024. They're already done with that. That $2 billion is done. Now they're gunning for Yeah. Now they're gunning for $5+ billion.
Yeah, and that's something that I like, because it only goes to show that we've done what we said we were going to do, and in the process of doing so, we found more ways where we can cut and be profitable. Right. Again, this is a proper turnaround. I don't know what has happened with the share price of Warner Brothers Discovery since then, but if I were so inclined and so geographically gifted, without it being a major hassle, I would be like, I think this might be a good buying opportunity. Again, I'm not offering any kind of financial advice here, but just like,
apparently
I'm optimistic on their behalf.
Yeah, they're
at a loss per share of 51 cents. Are they up now?
Yeah, they're up right now.
How much? You go.
They're up 0.33 basis points, and the percent change is a 2.67% upwards at the moment.
So I have less confidence in Zaslav as a creative company anymore as far as Warner Brothers goes. I'm starting to think they're just setting the company up for sale.
Yeah, I think so too. But in so doing, I don't. I like when those rumors came out that he's just he's just going to flip it. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That sounds extremely plausible. But in that flipping, he's going to have to fix it. And that means that he's going to go in and he's going to butcher and he's going to break eggs and he's going to do what no one else can do. And he can do it because he has no allegiance to what happened before. All he wants to do is get rid of all the dead weight, do some restructure, bring out all the value so he can flip it. And just like when with house flippers and everything, basically they get to fix them up, and they turn it into something that someone wants to buy. So I'm much more worried. Like, I'm not worried about what he's doing. I'm worried about him being too successful, and who's going to buy it and how are they going to ruin it.
Well, and that's weird because, again, you know how there was a lot of leaning that way and a lot of talk that kind of indicated that might be something. Like I said, they stopped that kind of divorce talk. Like any inkling that might be something that's in the near future, Andre. So where would you think that they would have that breakup? Where do you think he's going to flip it out? How long do you think that would be?
I think a 5-year perspective.
Oh, okay. So way out. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I wouldn't think that's like 1 year something. I'm thinking like they see this as a long-term investment, that they invested into acquiring this from AT&T. And they knew that it's going to take time to fix this, and when we do, we're going to profit by hundreds of millions. So it's totally worth it.
Easily. Yeah, and again, I mean, they're looking. Their positive cash flow was insane. 2.7 billion, I think, is what the headline says. I think that if that sticks, that's insane. And can you imagine that that's going to continue going forward? Do you know what that does? You're not going to pay so much attention to the fact that they missed their number by like a couple hundred million. You know, you're going to be like, there's free cash flow here. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because not only is there like a huge profit on the other end when they do flip it, it's going to be profitable in the meantime too.
Yeah, I'm very confident in David Zaslav, generally speaking, because everything he said he was going to do, he has done. Yeah, he's a businessman, right? So there's no, it's not like he's placating to it all, right? Like it's not like a bait and switch. Everything he said he's going to do, he has actually implemented and is doing it. Yeah. I mean, we're going to mine our IPs. Boom, done. Announced. We're doing this. We've got to deal with this company. We're doing this. We're doing this. We're doing this. Straight away, they are just doing everything they say. So I have a lot of confidence in David Zaslav for running that business, but it'll be interesting to see how it sort of comes around and where it falls. We've had another earnings call, which I want to get to, which I think we'll all have a good time with, which is Anheuser-Busch. They had their earnings call, guys. So this is, for those that don't know, Anheuser-Busch is, of course, the owner of Bud Light. I mean, how would you not know that now? So they had, this is just a transcript that I managed to find online. You can play the call, etc., but just as a transcript, it's just interesting. This is the quarter 2, 2023 earnings call, and it happened today. So, we're on this news-wise. This is pretty interesting stuff. And they note a lot of stuff, actually, all about the Bud Light situation. A lot of this stuff isn't that interesting, but some of it is. So they talk about revenue growth, positive earnings, and then the brand. They're like, well, this quarter was not without challenge. The strength of our brand portfolio's global footprint and our focus on disciplined resource allocation continues to enable us to invest for the long term while delivering profitable growth. But of course, naturally, they did have to talk about Bud Light. So, with performance impacted by the decline of the Bud Light brand, with respect to Bud Light brand performance, we have actively engaged with over 17,000 consumers. It's not exactly a lot since April. And there are a few clear insights. This is the stuff which they keep repeating. This will be in the marketing moving forwards. First, most consumers surveyed are favorable towards the Bud Light brand, and approximately 80. Well, no. Listen, this is the hilarious part. And approximately 80% are favorable or neutral, meaning they just don't care. 80%. What he's saying that 80% of people could just be like, yeah, I just don't care. I don't care about the brand. The consumer will always be at the center of everything we do. All of us at ABI deeply care about and respect all of our consumers.
Horseshit.
Secondly, regardless of favorability, our consumers across all sentiment groups have 3 points of feedback in common. This is what they think everyone's feedback is. So, yeah, you can tell me if this is true or not. 1, they want to enjoy their beer without a debate. Yeah,
no.
Why do you need to survey people to figure that out? Are you joking?
Yeah.
Like what? You're a beer company.
I mean, the only debate should be, is this beer better than that beer? You know,
yeah.
Comparing the same thing or whatever.
Oh, so funny. 2, they want Bud Light to focus on beer.
They're just figuring that out.
They had to survey 17,000 people, guys, to come up with this. These people earn hundreds of millions of dollars. Just let that sink in. Oh my God. Right. 3, they want Bud Light to concentrate on platforms that all consumers love, such as the NFL, Folds of Honor, and music. We're taking the feedback and working hard towards our consumers' business every day across the world. While our total beer industry share declined by 520 BPS this quarter to 36.9%, it has been stable since the last week of April through to the end of June. Yeah.
When you hit bottom, you can't go much lower than
that's nothing to be proud of, is it? We declined, to 36.9%, but it stayed there. It stayed there.
We lost customers, and they never came back.
Yeah. And they're like, it's been stable since the last week of April through to the end of June. US EBITDA declined by 28.2% this quarter, with approximately 2/3 driven by market share performance and 1/3 driven by productivity loss. And the long-term strategic choices we made to increase sales and market investments in our brands and provide support
and
to our wholesale partners.
The EBITDA would have been even more of a decline had they not done some of the promotional stuff that they did, and had well, there's some other factors in there, but it like I said, I looked at it and I can't believe that, how much they really did fall off. They fell off more than a lot of people speculated, and I think that ultimately they're going to find out that they're off 30%. And again, they hit it also because they had a price increase that came into effect headed into April. So this thing's not over.
Oh, this is dead. And so a lot of this stuff isn't that interesting, right? But then we get to we basically get to the call-in part. Now this isn't like the shareholder calls from that Bob Iger had to suffer. These are basically just like businesses, massive shareholders.
And you only get that at an annual
call and things like that. Yeah. So, but they were all pretty much all about Bud Light, basically, and it's funny. So, question and answer session. Trevor Sterling with Bernstein said, first question. I've got 2 questions. First one, blah 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 blah. And then says, showing that you're looking at your chart, showing the market share trends over time in the US, it does look, maybe I'm being too optimistic here, that last week started to see a little bit of an improvement in market share trends. Is that something you'd agree with? So is that being driven by Bud Light itself or the other brands? So basically, Bud Light is still weak, but the other brands and the collateral damage, if you like, is starting to reduce. And the second question, probably one for Fernando, very good margin performance in Middle America, and just talking about Mexico, basically. So they're like, basically, is Bud Light dragging everything down, but the other brands are picking it all up. The main objective for us to share this data, which is public data, is one, bring a little bit of idea that we see, which is more stable shared over the last couple of weeks. You see that from May to June to the early July readings, that is actually improvement on the delta share as you go month to month, week to week, but it's more stable scenario. And now, of course, brands and the team in the US working hard to build it back, to earn back consumers, and our commercial activities are in place.
They're doing a terrible job.
Long term. Basically, no. Bud Light hasn't improved. It's still dead. We're still working really, really hard.
Yeah, and for nothing.
Yeah, they won't get this back at all. So Deutsche Bank chimed in, asking about stuff. So given you did organic EBITDA growth of 9% in the first half, but 5% in the second half, which is pretty impressive given the challenges you faced, can you maybe run us through the puts and takes for the second half, and specifically what you're assuming for the US and how we should think about the shape for quarter 3 and quarter 4? Thank you. So, and again, they're talking about Bud Light. A lot of it is this Bud Light thing. They're talking about where they're investing things. So they're like, oh, we're going to challenge here. We've had our own challenges, but in puts and takes, you saw things working very well across 4 out of our 5 regions, very strong growth. We mentioned before the second half of the year, we would have differences in terms of quarter 3, quarter 4 because of the World Cup. And this goes into what they were talking about. Lastly, like where they're going to market things, like they're giving away money.
Yeah,
that's part of their thing now, is just to literally give away cash. There was another funny one. I can't sort of bookmark a specific point on a page, guys. So you got to forgive me here. I'm sort of trying to look through it now. There was another quite funny one that I saw.
Well, you're looking for that, Nate, real quick.
Oh no, here. We see in the press and in the news a lot of pretty deep discounts and couponing. How is the promo environment now that we're in the middle of the summer season, and how does it compare to the past? And this is
that's a brutal one.
This is Robert Ottenstein with Evercore, whoever that is. So they say, look at the numbers, pretty similar. There's nothing like big to highlight in difference between on-premise and off-premise so far. And I think one important indicator that you brought that we are always monitoring is TAPs. And that is not now. I think that since the comeback from COVID, there is quite a meaningful rotation in terms of TAPs. And we see bars, restaurants optimizing for high turnover. I think that's the best way to explain what's happening. All right. And you see brands and have higher sales and turnovers getting more TAPs. And these larger varieties that some points to scales carry that are very low productivity being delisted. We see that. So that's Bud Light. We see this happening across some of our craft beers or brands that have low turnover. That's literally Bud Light. We measure this with our wholesalers and through independent. We've retained more than 98% of our TAPs throughout the year. And some of our brands are gaining a lot of TAPs. Some brands are declining some TAPs. But all in all, on-trade and off-trade performance very similar, as you can see on our numbers. I think that's so promotional pricing discounts. So the environment in pricing, I think that's healthy. If you think about the inflation, last year, this year, the fact that we took 2 price increases last year, so we increased it, and now we're just discounting and giving it away. That's healthy. That's good. Given the size of inflation and costs, and there's a good carryover throughout this year, as per plan, we concentrated more of our commercial activities in the middle of this year. So this doesn't have anything to do with the Bud Light situation. Was planned and announced and shared with us. Are you bollocks? Absolute bollocks. That's hilarious. Would you? Oh my god. I can't remember. I don't think there's anything. What were you going to say, Nick? You're going to say something then.
Well, two things real quick. One, there's videos going around Twitter, social media, all over the place. Just here recently of bars and restaurants taking their Bud Light taps out and replacing them with something else.
Oh,
It is still going down. And one thing also that people got to remember is starting next month, first part of September, going in October, you got
Football.
NFL football starting, and you
Playoff
got
baseball.
baseball and playoffs going. And that is going to bring huge crowds, and they are going to see a huge decline. Like even just with the Division A teams, like here in Birmingham, and there's one in Huntsville that friends of mine actually go to, and they're like, Bud Light sales are like non-existent. Like the stadium up in Huntsville for the Panda Bears team, baseball team, that they don't even sell Bud Light at the stadium at all anymore because nobody was buying it.
Yeah.
I'm
seeing taps replaced at restaurants around here with one of my favorite brews, the 805 brew, which is from Firestone Walker Brewing Company. And I'm seeing that happen at a lot of places, including restaurants that I go. So I think they even did it at the theater I prefer to go to.
I have a question though, because according to a YouGov poll, and this, or I don't know the source, but as of mid-July, so 2 weeks ago, Bud Light was still claimed to be a top 5 selling beer in the US in May. How can that be? How can it still be on top 5 when it's selling nothing?
I think, well, okay, so that's May. So the first thing broke on April 1st. So I mean, May is a big month. Was it throughout May? Was it the beginning of May?
All right. So so for actuals in June, July, it's not going to be in the top 20 probably.
Well, they actually, I think some people have suggested that it's fallen all the way to 14. But I'm not sure. And again, that's not me. So, and that's just based on my poor recollection as an old guy. But usually I do remember numbers pretty well. So, but
I do trust your recollection. So I'm not worried about that.
But would it surprise me if it had fallen out of the top 5, Andre? Would be like the best question.
I'd be surprised if it's still there, considering that people are embarrassed of being seen drinking it. Then I'm more like, how the hell is it in the top 20?
Well, and see, I've replaced anything Budweiser in my house. There is none. No brand owned by AB InBev is in my house, including spirits. Nothing. It just doesn't hear anymore. It's not something that is going to make it into my house. And so, I think a lot of people have slowly done that because they become more informed. This is the worst thing that could happen to a brand, people becoming informed about what else they own. And so I see that having ancillary damage to all the other brands that they have. But at the same time, I'm likely to pick up an 805. I'm likely to pick up, something like, like Tecate or something like that. It has nothing to do with it. And now you're seeing the number 1 beer in the U.S., which will be official as of the end of this month, the end of August, will be Modelo Especial here in the States, which is not owned by AB InBev as it is elsewhere. Here, it's owned and controlled by Constellation Brands. So Constellation Brands moves into first. You're watching one of my other favorite beers, Yuengling, make a massive strides everywhere that it's available, and you're seeing them try to expand their distribution across all 50 states. In fact, I would ask, because Nick is in an area where I believe they have Yuengling. Have you seen Yuengling more frequently?
Oh, 100%. Like all my friends around here it's either Miller Lite or Yuengling. Are the two, but then there's also, we got a lot of craft breweries here, Good People, which is a high seller around here, and Bell's Two Hearted out of I think Kalamazoo, Michigan is a big, huge seller here. Those are the two big seller craft beers. But Yuengling, Miller Lite, those are the two, and Buffalo Wild Wings even swapped out their other Bud Light tap with a second Miller Lite because they were selling so much Miller Lite. And then the gas station where I go, I asked the lady in there who owns the store how their Bud Light sales was going, and she said she hasn't ordered any Bud Light in 2 months. She said all the stock of Bud Light we have here, we've had, and I have not purchased any more in the past 2 months. And that was literally just like a week and a half or so ago when I asked her this. So, I mean, you're looking at, pretty much all of May, all of July. He hasn't put in any more orders to the distribution company to get more Bud Light product, which I'm guessing is probably the case for most places, especially in this state and in this area for sure.
Oh, well, couldn't happen to a better company. I love the fact that they had to address it, didn't they? Though, but each and every single time you're like, oh, God, that's not going to.
They're trying to spin it in a positive way, though, Nate.
Yeah, I have to say that those shareholders were incredibly polite, allowing them to get away with it. But that kind of like is the norm in business. You get away with things in that kind of meetings because the real conversations are had behind the scenes between the major institutional shareholders and the management of the company, not in public. But you know what, those questions right there and those answers, just look at what they get away with, and now contrast that to what Bob Iger was subjected to at Disney the last time, and the frustration of those shareholders. Because to me, that only goes to show the savagery of what Bob Iger was set through when the actual shareholders got to ask him questions, and I can't wait for the next time that will happen. We'll see how well they're able to screen the questions, but I can only imagine there must be some major frustration there. So yeah.
Let's get us some super chats because we're a little bit behind on these. So let's sort of whip through some of these. Night King 01 for $4.99 says, so the Acolyte takes place before the prequels, but the Sith were in hiding for hundreds of years. Looks like someone didn't see the prequels. So yeah, the timeline doesn't make any sense. I mean, Nick, you'll know this. That the Acolyte takes place shortly after the High Republic, but before the prequels. But shortly,
it's 100 years.
Well.
It's 100 years before Phantom Menace. So, but we don't know if it's going to be Sith because and we know the Jedi are going to be there because they've kind of been in power for the Republic and all that for a long time at this point in time. So it's probably going to be, from what we're hearing, it's going to be like the gray Jedi. They're going to try to blend good and evil to where there's not really any good, there's not really any evil. So the Sith
Star Wars isn't about good versus evil, is it? Apparently,
no.
That's one of the other things that they said.
Nope, they're trying to do away with the good versus evil thing, and how it's just people have different viewpoints on what's good and what's not good, so that's what they're gonna do. It's gonna be more like, say Democrats versus Republicans, in the Jedi, all the different Force users and stuff are just going to be parts of different sects and stuff, and there'll be disagreements and that sort of stuff, and some fighting going on between them, but really nobody's right, nobody's wrong, stupid stuff like that. So
dumb.
So yeah, it's not really going to be the Sith.
Yeah. Black Saber for $2 says Lizzo the Hut. So,
yeah,
there you go. Love it. Tommy, it's super slow when I click on these super chats. I don't know what it's like for you. There's a lag for me. Tommy Reviews for $5 says, thank you, Tom. And I'm a fan of the movie myself. My local drive-in mostly plays older movies. It's semi-famous due to celebs they get. Mahoning Drive-In. You ever heard of that, guys? No, anyone?
No, I've never heard of it, but up until COVID, there was really only a handful of drive-ins left in the country.
Under 100,
yeah,
I think.
I like that. I like that. That caused
even less than that.
Drive-ins. Super cool. Night King 01 again for $4.99 says, I have to add, if we're even going off of Garth Ennis's version, he was never idolized. He made a point to show him as a homicidal maniac who's lost this. This obviously carrying over from the
I will also say that there have been some truly great writers working on the Punisher. We have Chuck Dixon, who was serialist, but I will say that the best one, and he's the best one because he had the benefit of standing on the shoulders of all the others, including Dixon, was Garth Ennis. And if there is one run, actually he had two separate runs on the Punisher. in 2 different continuities. He had like the Marvel Knights series, which takes place in the standard Marvel continuity, and it is absolutely fantastic. And then he had the Max series, which takes place in a world without superheroes. So it's other worlds, and it features a 60-something Punisher. So it's a contemporary series. It's set in the early 2000s with a Punisher who was still a Vietnam veteran and who's been out killing in the streets the past 30, 40 years. And it's his descent into, well, not necessarily madness, but basically a look into what drives him and everything. And that is the definitive run of the character.
Yeah. T-Neil 889. This is so slow for me, guys. When I click on it, it's like a 10-second delay from it coming up. It's really annoying. T-Neil 89, aka Dyslex Pun, says, if Nick doesn't care for Dune, he won't like 40k, which is obviously Warhammer 40k.
It's not that I don't like Dune. I like Dune fine. It's just I wasn't like, oh my god, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm sure I'll check out 40k. As well.
I think you'll like 40k, to be honest. And then he says Rachel Zegler, Daniela Pineda. Who is Daniela Pineda?
I can tell you that. Remember that Netflix remake of what's that really popular thing again? Cowboy Bebop, yeah. And she was the one, because people were complaining that she didn't look the comic book counterpart, and she was the one who went on about like her crevices and stuff like that in that cringy YouTube video. That's Daniela Pineda.
Right.
Yeah. So is she greater? Is she better than Ziegler? I mean, we'd already seen all of her crevices. I mean, she'd been in films where she showed all of her bits and pieces.
Just from crevices, I'd give it to Daniela. So,
yeah.
There you go.
As the more or the less annoying?
Less annoying.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
You can look at crevices.
Yeah, I mean, she wins because of the crevices.
There you go. Yeah, purely shallow. Who cares? Olaf Van Es, this is our epic mod. Doing such a good job. Massive shout out to Olaf Van Es. €6 says they dug up fossils recently of a whale, small in size, yet heavier than the blue whale, with a body mass of 85 to 340 tons. Didn't they find Lizzo's mom?
Really? Oh, is this real? Because if so, we have to rewrite our books on zoology and stuff, because we've always been led to believe that the currently living blue whale is the largest animal to ever live on this planet in its history. Yeah. But this fossil would disprove that then.
It does, actually, yeah, and it was found in the desert. I can't remember, but somewhere you wouldn't expect a whale to be, of course. You know.
Which only goes to show that it's been there since the time of when that desert was at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Peru, thank you. Yeah, Peru.
Have to look that up. Tom working for $2 says Blumhouse, like early Dimension film, is by volume. Yeah, it's a profitable business model, and Warner Brothers going to that model. I salute you. That makes sense.
Yeah,
low budget, high number of films. You know.
Yeah, low budget, high volume. The chances of you getting a good film is quite high, and also they'll take more risks. That's the important thing. They'll take risks, because they won't be looking for $1 billion blockbuster each and every single fucking movie. That's why this is a good move, because then they will actually take risks. Like A24. A24, not every movie they make is good.
No.
But I tell you what, if you look at A24 generally, you go, I like their movies. Generally. So, yeah, there you go. There's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Rebound for £5 says, hey lads, all right, you twisted my arm. This is my absolute favorite podcast. Good. When will the Disney Investors Call happen / be streamed with you guys? When is that happening? Is it Thursday?
Wednesday.
Yeah. Wednesday.
That's Wednesday. Wednesday at a reasonable time, not 4:30 in the morning for me.
Is it next Wednesday? Is it next Wednesday coming up?
It's coming Wednesday the 9th. Yes.
Yeah.
I've actually been invited to a Netflix premiere next Wednesday.
Oh well.
Which Algodo might actually be at.
We're actually going to be talking about it with Mexican Iron Man the next following day on the 10th.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
on,
so we're not
on
so we're
for
not
the
gonna
Thursday
stream.
stream.
Right. So Mexican. What was the deal? Mexican Iron Man's going to come on Thursday stream to talk about it. Or is that what
And
is
of
that what
course,
we're
he'll be
doing?
streaming it live with Valiant
Right.
Renegades. So that's going to be
There you
like
go.
the go-to stream while that is happening.
Yeah.
Right. There we go.
So
there we go.
so he'll be able to give us all the rundown and
Yeah. All right. Cool. There you go. So come here next Thursday for a podcast chit chat discussion of it all. And if you want it live, then that'll be on Valiant Renegades channel. I'm guessing.
That'll be our 54th episode. It will be epic.
What time of day is that stream?
That they're usually a little bit more accommodating mid-morning.
So it's going to be in the middle of our stream.
Yeah, it'll be exactly. It'll be perfect timing.
No, actually, it'll be horrible timing because that means that Valiant Renegade will have no choice but to stream at the same time. So yeah, we'll have our live
midnight edge of the morning. We'll get nerfed.
Yeah, that midnight edge in the morning will probably be like live watching history together. We'll see what we do.
Streamception.
Yeah.
Horseradish Power for $2 says Rachel Zegler makes me want to watch Zendaya. That's hilarious. Tom Workin says they're nerfing Law for $2. And then Tom Workin says again for $5 says Star Wars has rich EU to draw Sith galactic lore from, but they don't want to pay the original authors. Keanu Reeves is Darth Revan. Anyone? That was a rumor that was floating around, wasn't it?
But I hope it's not true. I hope it's not true. I sincerely hope that won't happen.
Andre, Salvation. I double checked the time on the 9th. It's at 1:30 p.m. Pacific, so that makes it 11:30 Central time.
Well, 11:30 Central.
Okay, so that basically means that we have a short stream on Wednesday, and we'll be fine.
And Jason actually just put it in the chat right after I found it.
Perfect.
So let's shuffle on to another topic, a bit about business, but this is an interesting one, guys. I know some of the business stuff bores everyone. However, I think we'll find this one interesting. Lionsgate has bought E1 from Hasbro.
Yeah, it's an interesting move.
This is quite huge, to be fair. Like that's Lionsgate again moving up in the world. These smaller studios that haven't really been a part of any sort of nonsense agenda for a little while. Like you've got Skydance, you've got Lionsgate, you've got the likes of Legendary. They're slowly on the up and up now because they're not suffering from fan backlash. So Hasbro has confirmed the sale of E1 to Lionsgate for $500 million. This is pretty big.
How long do they have to wait before they can make some Transformer movies?
Good question.
Yeah.
Well, what does E1 have? I mean, they have like Peppa Pig.
E1 is basically Hasbro's entertainment division, isn't it?
Yeah,
yes,
it is.
Yeah, it's
literally their entertainment. It's their film and TV business,
and they've been trying to sell it for 2 years.
Transformers, Power Rangers, Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, Hasbro says this sale fully aligns with our strategy, and we are pleased to bring the process to a successful close. Lionsgate management team is experienced in entertainment and adept at driving value, and we're glad to have found such a good home for our E1 film and TV business. So, I mean, it is literally that's what it is. It's their TV and film business.
Oh yeah, there we go.
So yeah, Peppa Pig, PJ Masks. I don't know what that is.
I know what that is. I have kids. So,
no, sorry. That Hasbro is holding on to their family brands. So, well, what does that mean? So
that means
what did they pay $500 million for then?
Well, they
apparently 6,500 plus title content library. 6,500. But what is in there though?
So they're not getting like My Little Pony.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like because I know we're gonna have to wait for a while for Transformers because Paramount and DreamWorks have had their hooks into that for a while now.
I think that the biggest things that are in there, the ones that they highlight there, is Peppa Pig and PJ Masks. That's the
that's what Hasbro is keeping.
That's what I was saying. Is they don't even get those. So what did they get?
Oh, right.
$500 million.
Well, maybe Jason the Wheel Warriors. Muscle Brave Star.
I get what?
I don't know.
They get those 6,500 plus title content library items
which is
I'd love to see what that is.
Arctic Vets, Project Breakover, Mary J. Blige's My Life, The Rookie TV series, Moonshine.
Do you have a list of that? I'd love to browse that list.
Yeah, here I'll put it in private chat.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, this is a prod that's right up Lionsgate's alley. Shit nobody cares about.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Woman King, the Spencer Sisters, Rookie Feds,
Power Rangers. Power Rangers, Transformers are the biggest ones. But wouldn't you think Hasbro would keep on to that?
Well, if it's part of their Family Brands division, I'm guessing they are going to be keeping that stuff.
Well, and they did do Lionsgate did do the Power Ranger movie. What was it here, like 5 years ago or whatever?
Ah, yeah, that's true. But so in their TV division, they actually have quite a big TV division. Quite a lot, actually. They have a hand in The Walking Dead, of all things. Fablemans, Yellow Jackets. That seems to be a big thing now. People seem to love.
It looks like most of their stuff is television.
What did they actually pay for then?
That's what I'm trying to figure out because
I can't imagine Hasbro would have sold them Transformers though.
Yeah, Transformers and G.I. Joe are wrapped up over at Paramount anyway.
That's so strange.
Like even
are they wrapped out of Paramount as a distributor, but E1 still is the producer? Because if so,
I'm not 100% on that, but
sales still would go through, and it would still be Lionsgate.
Because wasn't the whole point of the last G.I. Joe movie as a rights retainer anyway? Snake Eyes. And I mean, they made plenty of they've made plenty of Transformer movies. They can go a while without making one before they have to worry about that lapsing. But
what did they pay for then? That's so strange.
That's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with MGM being purchased by Amazon Prime, it was pretty obvious what Amazon Prime paid for with MGM. This doesn't seem obvious at all.
Yeah,
because for what?
Because if you look at all their stuff, it looks like their family. If they're keeping the family brands, looks like that's
brands which can be monetized. They're all in the family brand. I mean, because that's where you have. Listen, you have Peppa Pig, PJ Masks, Ricky Zoom, never heard about, Power Rangers, My Little Pony, Pony Life, Transformers, and more. All of that is in the family brands. So if they're keeping family brands, they're keeping Transformers.
Well, and this actually started back in November of last year, from what I'm seeing here. And it looks like 375 of it's in cash and 125 is in production financing loans. Yeah, it doesn't really say other than just kind of random shit here, like you guys have already mentioned.
Yeah, okay. Let's put it this way. I'm not surprised that they've been trying to sell E1 for 2 years. I'm surprised that they would buy it for $500 million.
It's Lionsgate, Andre.
So I'm looking at it now.
I'm not surprised. Bomb Factory, Lionsgate strikes again.
There is quite a lot actually. So
they only accidentally make hits like John Wick once in a while.
Hold on. Romeo and Juliet, Starbuck, Beast of the Southern Wild, Looper. It was distributed by Sony, but apparently it was an E1 as well, co-production type thing. Riddick. They had a handle in Insidious Chapter 2.
What this feels like to me is like at one point Hasbro went like, why are we doing all these license deal with the studios when we should just have our own studio making stuff and then we can make the toys off those things? And they realized that this was not a very profitable business.
Yeah, and they just got rid of it.
It was under the guidance of the previous CEO who passed away tragically. And ever since his passing, they have been trying to get rid of this entertainment division. So it's like 2 years of trying to sell this thing, and they got a buyer. I think Lionsgate's looking at it as like a content warehouse. They just acquired 6,500 things, less the obvious family brands. There was no way they were going to.
Which is what Lionsgate has been doing here over the last few years. But they just sold the Miramax Dimension catalog to Paramount, which made no sense to me.
Yeah. This is quite odd. Quite an odd acquisition for Lionsgate.
It's also actually slightly cheaper than one would expect for a catalog that size.
Well, how much did MGM go for in the end? I didn't think that was that much, was it?
It wasn't a whole lot. No,
I didn't think MGM sold for that much.
It went 55 more billions than you think.
I know it was.
Oh no, it was. Yeah, wow. No, sorry, it was 8.5 billion.
Yeah, I was gonna say more billions than you think.
Okay, not as much.
No, you're right. No, you're right.
Actually, it was less than I thought it was.
Yeah,
I thought it was like more than that.
But then MGM is way bigger.
Well, they didn't buy UA either, did they? Because that was the weird thing. Or they got some of UA stuff. Like that was the other problem with the MGM sale that I never understood, because Turner ended up owning most of the classic catalog outside of the UA titles. So like anything that was known as of an MGM title, Warner has their hands on now. So like Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, all the things that used to be associated with MGM are pretty much over at Warner Brothers. Even 2001.
Jesus. Well, anyway, slightly odd turn of events for Lionsgate, it seems. We've got some more super chats to get to. When we have another update, we'll let you know about it, because
well, considering they sit here and they say these are the most prominent brands and most of this shit is shit I've never even heard of.
Same.
Like literally there's one here that's called Bitten, the Book of the, I'm not going to say the last name of this.
Well, they have, you have to consider a lot of stuff that they have in catalog.
It starts with an N.
They have a lot of Canadian garbage. So
it's not a bad word, but it's still not a word I'm comfortable saying on your stream, Mr. H.
Yeah, don't.
Like, I've never heard of any of this stuff. I don't, outside of The Walking Dead and Hung.
Looks like some reality television show, like growing up hip hop. Looks like following the kids of a lot of famous hip hop artists.
I'm not understanding what they've spent so much money for.
That's what I'm sitting here going, what the hell?
Bizarre.
And Lionsgate doesn't even have a streaming service, do they? Not in Canada even, do they?
Well, they had Stars, and I mean,
do they still have Stars?
I don't know. I don't know if they sold it or not. I don't remember.
But maybe they're going to license this content out.
Yeah,
right. They now have the licenses to these. So they can make money from that side of it, I guess.
Wouldn't E1 already had been trying to?
Yeah, probably, but managed by Hasbro.
Yeah, Hasbro.
I don't know.
Yeah, no. Look, okay. So the MGM deal was what, 8.5 billion, right? They sold 17,000 television episodes and 4,000 films.
Yeah.
So if you work
that's
out
all they had for movies, man. Wow.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
No,
but it was a lot in terms of quality. Like MGM did make quite a lot of like high end.
Well, that was my point. Is most of their stuff that is worth a crap isn't in those 4,000 movies outside of the Rocky films, and they only have distribution on the Bond films. They don't actually technically own them.
They actually, so with this deal, they would have acquired the Dungeons and Dragons film Honor Among Thieves that just got made.
E1?
Yeah.
No,
they made that for Paramount. Yeah.
It's a co-production with Paramount. So Paramount still has part of it.
That's what I was saying with Transformers, I think, too, and all that business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't
know what they paid for.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we'll look into this.
But like the MGM deal, just to finish that off, we already know what they had of any value because they've already tried to get things off the ground with it. RoboCop and Stargate basically is all they got.
Oh, that's what Amblin. Wait a minute.
Let's get us some soup.
Let's move on.
Right.
Night King 01 for $4.99 says, I see a pattern with characters like Punisher, remember Dirty Harry, and critics' reactions like Pauline Kael calling it a right-wing fantasy. Yeah, again, it's exactly the same.
This is what I was referring to, Night King, yeah.
It's exactly the same It's the knee-jerk reaction that we had with the Terminal List. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. No one's sitting there going, yeah, I want this situation. Yeah. No. But you can relate to it on it because they're just normal people, obviously, going through awful situations. So you relate to it on that level. You know, it's a human level. That's what they don't like. They don't like the human aspect of it as well.
And Night King, if you haven't read Tarantino's Cinema Speculation, you might get a kick out of that. Because he does bring this subject up. And in fact, it's something I've talked to Andre about with our ESG videos and how I feel like we're in a repeat of history all over again. And Sound of Freedom was kind of like a Dirty Harry or a Death Wish of sorts so far. We need more of those, though.
Yeah. Adam, for I don't know what this is, but it's 4,000 of something, says this is just to show support. Keep it up, Mr. H. Jesus, sorry. Keep it up, Mr. H. Great panel. You're my favorite streamers after Mexican Iron Man, of course.
He is the YouTuber's YouTuber.
These are Hungarian foreigners, I believe.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. And everyone in the chat, thank you so much for sticking around and watching your favorite podcast. Do appreciate it. Scott Hughes for $2 says, am I the only one that prefers Thomas Jane Punisher? I like him in the Dirty Laundry short. That's epic. Epic.
I'm going to get shit, but Lundgren was my favorite.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm a Thomas Jane guy also. I was really hoping he was going to come back and reprise that role and be part of the
after
MCU.
Lundgren, but yeah, like Jane is like my least favorite of them.
Have you watched the Dirty Laundry? Do you like Dirty Laundry?
I hate Dirty Laundry. As a Punisher fan, I absolutely hate it. Yeah. I can't stand it. Shall I tell you why? It only goes to show that Tom Jane, he never ever understood the character. And I'll tell you why. It's really good right up until the ending, which is one of the most un-Punisher things ever put on film. Because for those that haven't seen it, Dirty Laundry is this little short that he and a couple of friends made basically over the weekend.
I think it's Adi Shankar made it, isn't it?
Yeah. Adi Shankar is the producer of it.
Stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And basically, what happens is that it's the Punisher. He's not just in his regular civvies and stuff like that. He's buying alcohol from Ron Perlman, and then he watches across the street. Then there's a pimp who is beating up his prostitutes, basically. And then, of course, there's like this subplot about him washing his Punisher outfit and stuff like that. They reveal later. That's why it's called Dirty Laundry. But what happens then is that he sees this pimp beating up the prostitutes, and he decides he's going to get involved. So he goes and he beats up this pimp. He breaks his arms, so he's helpless to move and stuff like that. And then what he does is that, I don't recall exactly, but like he spills his alcohol over this dude. And then he leaves, but he basically gives a lighter to the beaten up prostitute, and he's like, "There you go. You can kill her. You can kill him now. He's defenseless." This is something the Punisher would never, ever, ever in a million years have done. He does what he does because he's the exception for the rule. He doesn't want others to be like him. This is something that basically all Punisher writers have made a point of. Then from time to time,
it's his burden.
Exactly. There are copycats, Punisher copycats. And if anything, he strikes down on those harder than he does the criminals, because no one is to do what he does. That takes skill, it takes determination, and it takes you already having lost all hope. And here is Tom Jane, this dude who clearly doesn't understand the character, basically telling a beaten up prostitute who is clearly not emotionally right, and he's saying, go for it, become a killer. Do something that's going to haunt you for the rest of your life, rather than go get cleaned up and fix your life. He encourages her to become a murderer. If the real Punisher was there, he would have ended Tom Jane's Punisher the moment he saw that fucking knockoff. I agree with Tom. Tom Jane is he's just, I don't know who's worse, him or Lundgren. But in terms of understanding,
I like Lundgren. I don't care.
In terms of understanding of the character, Jane thinks he understands the character, but he doesn't, and that's worse than someone who doesn't even claim to.
To be fair, my whole thing with Lundgren is he looks the most like the comic book version of my
with body. Culture, you want to say something?
Barenthal, James,
he's all right.
Lundgren.
Yeah, Bernthal, Bernthal's Punisher is basically what Jane wanted to do. And Bernthal understands the character better than Jane did. But it's still a little bit too Travis Bickle-esque for my taste. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Jane's Punisher, and I get that most for everyone that understands, like Nick, don't take it personally, but that's only because I'm a big fan of the source material, and I can see where they stepped wrong.
I just like the brutality.
Yeah, Jane, but it's those really small, subtle things, but they're subtle. But that's where the entire appeal of the character lies. And when they miss out on that, they miss out on everything.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's get to our last super chat from Horseradish Power for £2. Says E1 has Amberlin as a subsidiary. The answer may be. Maybe.
I doubt Amblin has anything to do with this. Steven has so much control over everything there that unless it's maybe, I mean, but even then, those movies are still owned by the distributors in most cases, and so
we'll look into it and get back to you on all of this. So that about wraps it up now, actually, guys. So quickly, because whenever I say this, we lose people instantly. What have you got going on, Tom?
Trying to figure out what we're going to talk about tonight on Midnight's Edge After Dark. That comes up here in about 2.5 hours, it looks like now. So,
okay, nice. Culture Casino?
I'll be late to that show because I'll be seeing the Meg in about an hour and a half.
Brilliant. Meg 2. Andre, how you doing, bro? What have you got going on?
I am just about to finish the interview that I was working on last week.
Can you say who it is now or not?
No. It has not yet been. I can say it after the show, but I still need permission from the subject of the interview, and so now it's 90 minutes long. So like this is a
wow.
thing. So it takes some editing and stuff. So now I can go back to producing regular content. So there is going to be ESG videos, Disney breakdown videos, and what have you. Cool stuff.
Very nice. So speaking of interviews, I was live tweeting whilst drinking the other evening. If anyone follows me on Twitter, which you should, at Missed Reviews, I was watching Underwater again. And obviously I've interviewed the director, haven't I? So I was messaging him at the same time. I'm like, dude, obviously quite drunk, but I just watched the film again. Good chap. We'll try and get William Eubank on here at some point, or just for another interview in general, because good film, well worth another watch. Underwater, bloody love that film. Good one. Nick, what you got going on?
Chill stream in 3.5 hours from tonight on the main channel. Our Thursday night weekly chill stream. On the Echo Base Network.
Anything else?
Still nothing else on the Nick Talks Entertainment yet. I got to get a new computer so I can start getting on camera and all that sort of stuff. But and then this Saturday night, of course, our weekly Saturday night stream at 7 Central.
Good. Excellent. So, guys, please do check out everyone's channels down below in the description box. And please do check out the second channel, which is Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. If you missed this, it'll be, if you missed the whole thing, it'll be on there eventually. I just need to get to it. And real quick, Night King 01 for $4.99 says, I have a defense, Andre. Thomas Jane was always turned down on his inputs. He wanted the film in New York, but Travolta wanted the shoot near his house.
I know. So that's going to be in the upcoming retrospective on that movie. And you know who I blame for that? I blame Jonathan Hensley, the director, and the last man who ever should have directed a Punisher movie. Because, I may give James some hell, but the one who really, really didn't understand Punisher was director and screenwriter Jonathan Hensley. Get this. He replaced the Punisher's origin story. That thing which gives him the entire philosophical justification to do what he does with a Mad Max reference.
Yeah, that's Fucking ridiculous.
Oh my God.
Never mind.
It's like my fault that the movie sucked.
Well, Mr.
anyway.
Travolta, you didn't help.
Oh my God. But I beat up the Punisher.
Well, anyway, guys, from me and everyone else, we will catch you on Tuesday. I will be having my own chill stream on Sunday, so please do join for that, where I'll shoot the breeze with you all and take your burning questions. But from me and everyone else, thank you so much. Your favorite podcast returns on Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye, guys.